behind-the-scenes content. Your home for Kansas City sports. 96.1 and HD2, Kansas City, an Odyssey sports station. Nobody in Kansas City has sports like 96.5 The Fan.
Right side throw, touchdown! Kansas City, a 3-yard touchdown pass in overtime. Kansas City wins the game.
Welcome into The Drive with Carrington Harrison.
Back-to-back best sports talk hosts as voted on in the Pitch magazine.
Live from the Fan Studios. Here's CDOT.
Let's do this. Another day, another dollar, another edition of The Drive. You are listening to The Drive on 96.5 The Fan, 96.5thefan.com, and also the Odyssey app. My name is Carrington Harrison. Excited to be here with you on this wonderful, wonderful Wednesday. We have so much to get into. The top story in the National Football League involves the Kansas City Chiefs as they have decided to move Joe Thuney. Joe Thuney has been traded to the Chicago Bears for a future fourth-round pick. We are going to break down this trade coming up in about 30 minutes or so. We are going to be joined by Joshua Brisco, who is our Chiefs insider, Mark Carman, who also covers the Chicago Bears. He is going to be on the show today. Before we dive into this topic, I want to remind you guys to be sure to listen every day at 2 o'clock and be sure to tell one person to check out the show. Let's get you the update. Let's get you the latest news. The Chiefs have made one of the biggest decisions so far this offseason. They have traded all-pro left guard Joe Thuney.
We do have a major trade for the Kansas City Chiefs and the Chicago Bears. Once again, the Bears load up on the offensive line. Earlier this week, it was Jonah Jackson. This time, a big one. Sources say all-pro guard Joe Thuney, one of the best in the NFL, who, of course, played tackle this year in a pinch, but is a big-time guard, is expected to be traded to the Chicago Bears. This deal, of course, cannot be final until the start of the league year. If you look at what Kansas City is doing, they're already paying Creed Humphrey. They obviously are going to pay Trey Smith. They need to free up some space. Joe Thuney ends up going, I would say, similar to the Tyreek Hill trade a couple years back, a player about to get a third contract. They move on, get a little younger, free up some space. For the Chicago Bears, nothing is more important than protecting Caleb Williams. They now have one of the best in the NFL to do it.
So that is the latest from Ian Rappaport of NFL Network. The Kansas City Chiefs have decided to move all-pro left guard Joe Thuney to the Chicago Bears. As we begin this discussion, let's start with the why. It is wrapped in an argument that we had last week on this show about positional value and how to allocate your resources. Now, I know that sometimes we like to laugh and joke that the salary cap is not real and that you can manipulate the cap to do what you need to do, but there's only so much room for so many players, and how you spend that money, where you spend that money matters. And if you add up right now what the salary cap hit would be for Trey Smith before you reach a long-term extension, if you add up what the salary cap hit was going to be for Joe Thuney for this upcoming season, it was going to be $50.1 million for your left guard and your right guard. We're not even talking about the center that they signed to a 4-year, $72 million deal just an offseason ago. The Chiefs were going to be spending an exorbitant amount of resources for their interior offensive line. And the Chiefs were faced with a decision. They were faced with, I would say, 2 major decisions. Number one, what were you going to do about Trey Smith? They answered that question. They put him on the franchise tag. I believe that he is a part of their long-term plan, and I'm not sure when, but at some point this offseason, I suspect that the Chiefs are going to sign Trey Smith to a long-term extension. Now, the other side of the coin, they had 2 choices of what to do with Joe Thuney. There was no scenario in which Joe Thuney was going to play for the Kansas City Chiefs with a $26.9 million cap hit this upcoming season. There was no scenario in which that was going to be the case. They had 2 options. They had either a trade scenario, which is the option that they chose to go down with the Chicago Bears, a team that was very much looking to help shore up their offensive line as their quarterback was the most sacked in the NFL last year, or it was a long-term extension. And I do think that we can say pretty definitively about Kansas City in every move that they have made with Brett Veach as the general manager, they don't pay old guys. Now, there has been an exception. The only exception, if we are talking about them paying an old guy since he's taken over as a general manager, has been Travis Kelce. And that makes sense when you were talking about arguably the greatest tight end in the history of the league, that when they did this deal, we're talking about a tight end that was still a 1,000-yard receiver, that I think that deal was maybe not about what he was going to do in the future, but repaying him for some of the decisions that he has made to help put this team in a good financial situation. He is the only old guy that they have paid since Brett Veach has taken over as general manager. If you are over the age of 30, your spot is never secure. And as you were looking at a 33-year-old left guard, a tough decision had to be made. You could reach an extension and get that cap number down, but you were going to lock yourself into more years of Joe Thuney, or you were going to take the cap space and now use that as an asset and as a weapon to help shore up the rest of your team, and that's the option that they went down. I don't believe for a second that this trade is an indication of how they feel about Joe Thuney. I don't believe that this trade is an indication of the kind of player that Joe Thuney is. I believe that the Chiefs traded their best offensive lineman. I think that Joe Thuney has a chance of going to Canton, Ohio. I think he is a guy that has shown you incredible versatility. He is maybe the best left guard in the National Football League. I thought he did a pretty serviceable job over at left tackle. I think you can make a pretty convincing argument that Joe Thuney is one of the 10 best offensive linemen in the National Football League, and they had to trade him. That's unfortunate. But you were not going to have him at $26.9 million for this upcoming season, especially when you go to Joe Thuney's left, and there is still a gaping hole there for the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, I don't think I'm telling you something that you don't know about this move or about this deal, but this is discussing the deal in its entirety. I don't believe that you make this trade. I don't believe that you make this move without having a concrete plan of what you think will happen at left tackle. And I don't think the plan for the Chiefs at left tackle is now them bringing in a veteran left tackle. I don't think they do this to go get Cam Robinson. I don't think you lose out on Joe Thuney to go sign DJ Humphries to a one-year deal or sign Tyron Smith to a one-year contract or bring back DJ Humphries. I believe that the Chiefs intend to swing very big when free agency starts at left tackle. When the legal tampering period opens up, I suspect the Chiefs are going to make a very serious offer to a veteran left tackle off the rip. There's only two possibilities of who that player can be. Now that Alaric Jackson has made the decision to go back to Los Angeles, we can change what we think the left tackle conversation is for the Kansas City Chiefs. I don't think they're going veteran one-year stopgap. I think they're swinging big. I think the Chiefs are going to make a very serious play for Ronnie Stanley. I believe the Chiefs are going to make a very serious play for Dan Moore Jr., the 26-year-old who played for the Pittsburgh Steelers. If you make the decision to move on from a player like Joe Thuney, you better have something in your back pocket. And I don't think that the answer to that question is either going to be a 30-something-year-old broken down left tackle or a rookie. I don't think that the Chiefs made this move with the intentions of packaging pick 31 and moving up in the draft to start a rookie alongside Kingsley Suamataia, who now we believe is going to play left guard. I don't think that's the play for the Kansas City Chiefs. I'm not going to say that today is a great day for the Chiefs. I think it was a necessary day. I don't think you get better by losing great players. I don't think you get better by losing all-pro guys who have been A+ in the locker room that hold the respect of everybody in there. But I do think that you had to take your medicine, so to speak. And I think in a salary cap league, sometimes you have to make very difficult decisions and you have to cut branches to let other ones grow. And I don't believe that the Chiefs were going to be able to make the necessary improvements at left tackle if they were going to continue to be so heavily invested in left guard, center, and right guard. They were going to have to get cheaper and younger at one position. And moving on from the 33-year-old to bring in the second-year guy that you drafted last year in the second round, that's the decision that they chose to make. I don't believe that you can rank this trade yet. Anybody telling you, well, the Bears won this trade or the Chiefs won this trade, I don't believe we can have that answer yet until we find out what the Chiefs plan on doing with the salary cap space. Sure, the draft pick is fine compensation. I'm not here to put down the draft pick, and we could talk more about the compensation and if that was a fair or amount or not. But this deal to me is not about the draft pick compensation. It's a future 4th-round pick. This move is about the salary cap space and now what you do with the salary cap space. Do you use that to extend your own players? Are you going to take a pretty big swing? And possibly in about 4 or 5 days, are we going to be able to ask the question, would it have been better to have DJ Humphries and Joe Thuney on your left side or have Ronnie Stanley and Kingsley Suamataia on your left side? I do think there is a possibility that is a topic on this show this week. I understand the frustration about this trade if you're a Chiefs fan, but I also understand and see the other side of the coin. I don't think you can spend $50 million on your left guard and your right guard. I don't think that is a good positional value argument for the Chiefs. And when you made the decision to pay the mid-20-something Trey Smith, I think that told us where they eventually were going to stand on Joe Thuney. And right now, everybody on that offensive line is under the age of 28 years old. You got Jawan Taylor, Creed Humphrey, Trey Smith. We believe Kingsley Suamataia is going to step in now at left guard. And now there's one more piece of the puzzle left. There's one part of the final equation to figure out what they do at left tackle. Earlier today, Nate Taylor was on the midday show. We'll play for you what he had to say and his reaction to the top story. The Chiefs have traded Joe Thuney to the Chicago Bears. Keep it right here. It's The Drive.
The Drive with Carrington Harrison.
This man was a bona fide scrub.
On 96.5 The Fan, brought to you by DM Injury Law. Have you or a loved one been in a car wreck? Contact DM Injury Law today and get the money you deserve. Car wreck? Remember, Mike's got this.
Brew Brothers at Harris, Kansas City, now open. Dine on mouth-watering appetizers, then feast on one of our 6 American Wagyu burgers, including the Bacon Jam Burger and Blazing Burger. Wash it down with your favorite ice-cold beverage, all while watching the game on one of our 45 TVs. Dine in or carry out. Brew Brothers at Harris, Kansas City always hits the spot. Brew Brothers and Brew Brothers Express are now open for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. 21 or older to gamble. Know when to stop before you start. Gambling problem? Call 1-888-BETS-OFF.
Pheasants Forever's National Pheasant Fest and Quail Classic is coming to the Kansas City Convention Center this March 7th through the 9th. Join us for puppy and dog training seminars, a youth village for kids, pollinator and wildlife habitat hunting gear in the 20th anniversary of Quail Forever. It's National Pheasant Fest and Quail Classic the weekend of March 7th. Presented by Pheasants Forever, Quail Forever, and Federal Ammunition. For more information, log on to pheasantfest.org.
Hey, not to be dramatic, but you should smell this. It smells so good.
Whoa, that's quite the reaction to mixing and matching Gain scents. Let's hear another from Ashley, who mixed Gain products and went,
I'm so excited.
yes, you are. What about you, Isaiah?
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah.
Yeah. And Emily summed it up like so.
It is just chef's kiss.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Mix, match, more happy with Gain.
Hey, it's Rex here with RexBuysKC.com, your local KC home buyer. If you own a property in the Kansas City or surrounding area and want to sell it fast and at a fair price, write this number down, 816-330-6000. I'm a private real estate investor, not some hedge fund or large national chain. My family and I live right here in KC. I can pay cash and close on your timeline, even in as little as 3 days. Here at RexBuysKC.com, we're improving Kansas City one house at a time. I buy inherited houses, vacant houses, foreclosure houses, behind in payment houses, my tenant won't pay the rent houses, and properties that need complete rehabs. Do you own a house that's trashed and needs thousands of dollars in repairs? Great. If you own a house and want to sell it fast, call me at this number, 816-330-6000. That's 816-330-6000, or go to RexBuysKC.com. That's RexBuysKC.com, and I look forward to working with you.
Someone had a birthday.
Yep, 50. Can't believe it.
50 years of wisdom.
Great segue. We have health news, a CDC update.
Pneumococcal vaccination is now recommended for adults 50 or older. Says here, we're over 6 times more likely to be hospitalized with pneumococcal pneumonia than adults under 50.
I don't love those odds.
Same. Look what I found. Pfizer's Prevnar 20 is proven to help protect adults against pneumococcal pneumonia and invasive pneumococcal disease in just 1 dose, and millions have already gotten it.
Continued approval may depend on a supportive study. Don't get Prevnar 20 if you have a severe allergy to its ingredients. A weakened immune system may lower your response. Common side effects include injection site pain and swelling, fatigue, headache, muscle, and joint pain. For full prescribing information, please call 1-855-213-2138. Visit Prevnar20.com or talk to your doctor or pharmacist.
I'm on Prevnar20.com now, scheduling my appointment.
Good idea. And happy 50th.
At Fisher Investments, we may seem like other money managers, but we're different.
What makes you so different than the rest of us?
We ensure clients receive unparalleled service at every step of the relationship.
Tell me more.
Our investment counselors focus on service over sales, prioritizing clients' needs.
How do you make money?
We don't sell any commission-based products. We have a simple management fee based on the value of our client's portfolio. So we do better when our clients do better.
What about client portfolios?
We get to know each client, their finances, family, health, lifestyle, and more, and then we tailor a portfolio based on their specific goals and needs.
Your clients really come first then, huh?
Yes, we make them a top priority. Our goal is helping them achieve a comfortable retirement.
Wow, maybe we are different.
At Fisher Investments, we're clearly different. Learn more at FisherInvestments.com.
Investing in securities involves the risk of loss.
What would you do if you could go back in time with the tap of a button?
Watch the ancient Egyptians build the pyramids?
How'd they do it?
Buy enough Bitcoin to purchase your very own private island.
Or maybe just skip the joke that flopped at the holiday party.
Unfortunately, we haven't figured out how to rewind time. But you can rewind live shows with the free Odyssey app.
Never miss your favorite sports talk again. To get started, download Odyssey and search for your station.
You're listening to 96.5 The Fan from the Mission Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling Studios.
Chiefs fans, it's Justin Reed. Welcome to The Drive with C-Dot on your home of Chiefs football. 96.5 The Fan.
Coming up momentarily, we'll play for you guys what Nate Taylor had to say. We're talking about the breaking news, the top story of the day. The Kansas City Chiefs have traded Joe Thuney to the Chicago Bears. Coming up momentarily, we'll talk about the compensation that they got from the Chicago Bears. I've seen a little bit of rumblings that the Chiefs looked out for the Chicago Bears. You know that there is some commonality between those two franchises. Ryan Poles used to work for Brett Veach, so maybe he called his boy and he gave him a little bit of a deal. I assure you that is not what happened. So the why to me is very simple. I think the Chiefs had a lot of money allocated to left guard, center, and right guard. And if you were trying to build a very complete roster, I think they were going to have to space that money out. There are a lot of things that the Chiefs still need to address. They do not have a left tackle on their roster. They need to go pick up additional pass rush. The veteran wide receiver market is very, very deep. You need cap space to go acquire those players. So if you have a 33-year-old left guard who you can save $16 million by getting him off the roster, you pick up a mid-round pick, you create some cap flexibility, and you can replace that 33-year-old player with the 23-year-old player that you like. And it's obvious they like Kingsley Suamataia. Brett Veach spoke on him a couple of weeks ago and said that it was a possibility he could move to guard. They spent a second-round pick on him. Maybe that is his more natural position. I don't think that this is ideal for Kansas City. And anytime you lose an all-pro player and a guy who has been an absolute rock, Joe Thuney has missed 2 starts in his entire career. I think the Chiefs traded their best offensive lineman today. So I'm not here trying to champion or parade this, that the Chiefs made some dynamic move today. But I am willing to see how this plays itself out, and I think the story is only halfway written. I have to see what they do with the cap space and what their answer is at left tackle. And then I think we can have the complete picture. Would you rather have Joe Thuney and maybe a 1-year veteran left tackle, or would you rather have a Dan Moore Jr. or Ronnie Stanley plus having Kingsley Suamataia at left guard? We have to see how this plays itself out, I think, before we can maybe have the complete picture of how to feel about this Joe Thuney trade. Speaking of Ronnie Stanley, let me play for you guys what Nate Taylor had to say earlier today when he was on Fesco and Dusty. He believes that Ronnie Stanley is the Chiefs' now #1 option at left tackle. Here's Nate Taylor.
they're going to try to sign Ronnie Stanley. Let's just put it out there.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
This is it.
Yes.
This is it, kids. Cam Robinson, get out my face. This is an all-in move, and that isn't to say that this is going to work necessarily. Ronnie Stanley could obviously go back to Baltimore. Baltimore now knows this.
Let me give you from Joel Corey what his contract projection was for Ronnie Stanley and why I believe you had to free up the cap space in order to go get this deal done. Now, I'm assuming that this is best case scenario for Ronnie Stanley. So I'm not going to take this like this is absolute gospel, but he is the best left tackle on the market. Usually you don't get that guy for cheap, especially when his last contract was a 5-year, $100 million extension with the Baltimore Ravens, and he signed that in 2020. It is now time for a raise. Now, if you've still been playing at a high level and you're coming off a season in which you played 17 starts and you played it at a Pro Bowl caliber level, I'm assuming that you're not looking to take a pay cut, or at least not that significant of a pay cut, especially entering your 30s. This is your last bite of the apple. This is your last big contract if you're Ronnie Stanley. Our guy, Joel Corey, friend of the show, has a contract projection for Ronnie Stanley at 4 years, $90 million. That's an average of $22.5 million a year, $55 million in guaranteed, and $47.5 million guaranteed at signing. If you wanted to swing in the left tackle market, and many of you believe that left tackle is their number one position, they got to address this by any means necessary, it is not going to be cheap to do that. And if you don't trust the rookie class, and we played for you guys Matt Miller, what he had to say about this rookie class, it didn't sound like there was a home run swing that you could potentially take in the first round. If you want to take a splash at left tackle, the only splash that I think is out there is Ronnie Stanley. I don't think there is another one out there. I think Dan Moore Jr. is a fine left tackle, but I think there is a reason why the Pittsburgh Steelers could potentially be walking on a 26-year-old left tackle. I don't think that you can consider that to be a slam dunk, because if he was a slam dunk, I'm guessing that Pittsburgh would try harder to keep him, and he wouldn't be hitting free agency and open to go to any bidder. Now, Ronnie Stanley's a little bit different. This is his third contract. Maybe Baltimore is looking at it like, hey, we've already given you $120 million in your career. We don't want to re-up for another 100 at this stage in your career. I'm not saying that Ronnie Stanley doesn't come without some kind of question marks. I'm going to have some questions about the health of Ronnie Stanley and how real was last season. Because if you go back to last year, he had a phenomenal season. He played in all 17 regular season games, and he was a Pro Bowl guy last year. He was not that in 2023. Only played in 13 games. In 2022, he played in 11 games. In 21, he played in 1 game. In 2020, the COVID season, he only played in 6 games. Ronnie Stanley has not really been the picture of health at left tackle. So it is a dice roll game. You are going to go from a player who I would consider to be a certainty. I did a radio interview earlier today. I compared Joe Thuney to a crock pot. You put the food in there, you can leave it, and you can walk away because you know you don't have to worry about it. That's what Joe Thuney has been at left guard. We haven't had too many conversations about him since 2020. He's been one of the better players in the National Football League. I think he's their best offensive lineman. I think you can make an argument that Joe Thuney is one of the 10 best offensive linemen in the entire National Football League. But this organization, I do think, has kind of told you what they're willing to spend money on. And what they are not willing to continue to spend a lot of money on is players over the age of 30. And if your salary cap hit was going to be $27 million, essentially, $26.9 million, I don't think the Chiefs were too interested in extending that contract with you, so they had to make a difficult decision that saves them $16 million against the cap. Let me play one more cut for you guys from Nate Taylor, and we're going to be joined by Joshua Brisco coming up momentarily. Here's what Nate Taylor said about what he thinks could potentially be next for the Chiefs.
If you're really going to fix left tackle, you have to make a move like this, and I will just put it very simply in this terms. Who is the younger player at guard? The younger player is Trey Smith. Mm-hmm. He stays. Unfortunately, Joe Thuney moves on to Chicago.
So that was Nate Taylor earlier today. He was on the morning show, Fesco and Dusty. I am still willing to wait out and see how this thing is. I would love to come on here and give you guys my instant reaction and have some hard standard take, I don't have it now because I think that this move is much more about the salary cap than it is about the draft pick compensation. We'll get to the compensation here coming up momentarily. But the number one thing that the Chiefs got today is cap flexibility. Well, let's see how they plan on using that cap and what's next for the Kansas City Chiefs. And then I think we can evaluate this trade. Let's go to the phone lines right now to be joined by Joshua Brisco, who covers the Kansas City Chiefs. He is our Chiefs insider. Brisco, how you doing today, my man?
I'm good. I didn't expect to be talking to you again quite so soon about one of the Chiefs' guards, but sometimes you get that unexpected news early in the morning in an early March weekday, and you know the NFL season's just around the corner. So yeah, it feels good to be talking about news, but it's a little bit of a weird one, certainly.
Absolutely, man. Let's just start with this. What was your reaction? Because it came together pretty quick. I think that most Chiefs fans have learned this, especially when the trade for Tyreek Hill. The moment it hits the timeline, it's just about over. It is not a rumor once Diana Rossini says that the Chiefs are looking into trading him to the Chicago Bears. That means they're on the goal line and they're about to punch it in. 30 minutes later, we start to get confirmation that the Chiefs have traded him to Chicago. So I know it feels like it came together pretty fast, but behind the scenes, this was not something that just popped up and sprung overnight. What was your reaction to this move?
I was surprised at first, and we can kind of get into how the dominoes fall after this. I think you're kind of looking ahead to the right things here. As we take a longer look and as the day has gone on, I've understood why the Chiefs ended up making this adjustment, and I do think it ultimately all comes back to the left tackle position. I think solving left tackle is almost the only thing that matters. Like, your left guard caliber certainly does count for what your offensive line is doing, but we've seen Joe Thuney next to a disaster at left tackle is a disaster. Kingsley Suamataia at left guard next to a disaster at left tackle would also be a disaster. So I do think it makes sense to begin to turn this pivot to the younger player in Trey Smith and to finding an answer at left tackle. But you keep hearing me say things like an answer at left tackle, because I don't think any of the answers that we've talked about are all that perfect of a fit for one reason or another. So it was a surprising bit of news. It does sort of feel like a combination of the Tyreek Hill trade and the suddenness, and then the L'Jarius Sneed trade in terms of the return not being very satisfying. For Sneed, a future third, didn't feel very good, but that had dragged on for months at that point, it felt like. Here with this Thuney deal today, I understand how the Chiefs got here. They are worse in 2025 right now than they were, 12 hours ago. But here's the other thing that I'll say to really put a cap on your view of the salary cap space and what these next few days and weeks are going to entail. I think right now it's sort of like 8 o'clock on election night. Nobody get nervous here. It's okay. But so where all of the votes are in when we're watching the election countdowns, right? But they're coming in on the newscast of, well, this precinct just closed. This state is finished. States are turning different colors across the map. Right now, the Chiefs have more information about what the rest of their plan is. I think that's going to become very clear over this next week or so. I said at the Trey Smith franchise tag, I didn't love that move as the first move of a relatively normal offseason. Well, we're here now, and it wasn't normal. It's not going to be normal, and now Joe Thuney's a Chicago Bear. So I think we are getting the limited information trickling in one state at a time, if you will, and now we have to start to wonder what those next few adjustments may be. I don't know that I'm in love with the Ronnie Stanley answer, but hearing from Nate, it's what it sounds like is kind of the Chiefs' next pivot. We'll see if that lands.
Right now, we're talking to Joshua Brisco about this trade that sends Joe Thuney to Chicago. The point that I've been making on the show is I think that more people need to start looking at left tackle the way that they look at quarterback. I'm not saying that they are of equal importance, but you and I both know if you want to address quarterback, the place to address quarterback is not in the 4th round. You need to take a serious swing, or you need to be willing to spend big elsewhere, a trade or something of that value, where I think at least for Kansas City now, well, there's a reason why Ronnie Stanley is available at this point. He's only really been healthy for 1 year out of the last 5. There is a reason why Dan Moore is healthy, or why he's available. There is a reason why Cam Robinson is now playing for 3 teams over the last 2.5 seasons or so, that if you're not going to draft and develop your own left tackle, you are either going to end up getting somebody else's cast off at the position, or you are going to spend a significant amount of money and resources to try to address the position.
Yeah, and I think the Chiefs, obviously, we've seen them try to do the patchwork version of that, of just get by with a 1-year solution, a 2-year solution, a 1-year solution. And I understand why they did that, because to be in a position to draft a franchise quarterback or one of those top tackles, you have to be picking higher in the draft than the Chiefs get to pick. But then their sort of half measures of Kingsley Suamataia, Wanya Morris, even later picks like Darian Kennard, or before that, Lucas Niang was a third-rounder. The guys that Brett Veach has drafted at tackle have not panned out as tackles, period. I think we are expecting Kingsley Suamataia to basically officially move to guard now. Wanya Morris was inactive throughout the playoffs. Those check swings, if you will, none of those have produced results. On the other hand, they paid a real premium for Jawaan Taylor. Obviously, he's been playing on the right side, and there's a little bit of a question at the time which side they wanted him to play on originally, all of that. But whenever you do swing and you get a single or a double with Jawaan Taylor, people hate him because he's underachieved for what that number has been. The penalties are a killer, right? So if you do pay that premium, which is what the Chiefs would have to do to get that sort of quarterback-esque answer there, not only do you have to overpay against the market, you simply cannot be wrong. Not only do you need Ronnie Stanley to play 15 games a year or whatever it's going to be, you also have to acknowledge that he's about to begin his age 31 season. And if the Chiefs are nervous about paying linemen in their 32, 33, 34 age seasons, Ronnie Stanley's contract is going to be buttoned up against all of that. So it's a lot of imperfect answers because this is a very, very complicated position to get right. The Chiefs got quarterback right with a huge move a number of years ago, and we've gotten to enjoy the feast that's been. They haven't gotten anywhere close to that at left tackle. The closest they got was Orlando Brown Jr., and people also loathe that guy for reasons that are a little bit beyond me.
Right now, we're talking to Joshua Brisco, getting his thoughts on the Joe Thuney move. What do you make of the compensation? Joe Thuney was traded for a 2026 fourth-round pick. At least from the financials, the Chiefs free up $16 million of cap space. Thuney was going to get a $2 million bonus for being on the team on March 14th, so obviously you wanted to get this deal done before the March 14th deadline. He also was going to be in line for an extension. I believe the Chiefs really only had two options. He wasn't going to be able to play for this $26.9 million cap hit, so he either was going to have to get an extension and you were going to have to move the money around a little bit, or you were going to trade him. We obviously have the answer. What do you make of the compensation?
I'll say that, like, just to add the third option that I was clearly wrong about, I thought they might try to get that Trey Smith deal done early enough, for that first year was low enough that they could play out one more year with Thuney. Obviously, they were feeling much more in the options that you were painting out there, and it would have definitely squeezed them against the cap. I'm going to go back to the Snead trade again, where it is, if you say, hey, Joe Thuney for a 2026 fourth-round pick, everyone would, I think, instinctively say, well, that's nowhere near what he is worth as a football player. The player that he has been in New England, in Kansas City, and frankly, the player that he'll probably be in Chicago for the next couple of years. That does not feel like a good price for one of the greatest offensive linemen in football and one of the greatest guards of all time. He will probably be the most decorated guard to ever enter Canton, Ohio. With that being said, yeah, I'm also not surprised that's what they got, because if it was a fifth or a sixth rounder this year or a fourth next year, you're talking about an older player who has a big current cap hit, who they're going to almost certainly, I'd imagine, extend very, very soon and make him a long-term plan there in front of Caleb Williams. All of those things come together, kind of like L'Jarius Sneed last year, where it's a third rounder, and then all of a sudden that pick rises, and you feel better about it. Sneed deals with the knee issues, and you go, yeah, they weren't ever going to pay L'Jarius Sneed, so you kind of get used to the return there. I think it's fine. I don't think it's a terrible misstep. It's certainly no steal. And the other thing about the compensation that makes this hard, I think, from the Chiefs' perspective, is that nobody in Chicago is upset about this trade, or at least they shouldn't be, because even if they are paying a little bit of an older guard a little more money later into the new contract he'll sign, it's in front of a quarterback on a rookie contract, and a quarterback you have to evaluate with good protection and good pieces around him. This makes a ton of sense from the Bears' perspective. I don't think that means the Chiefs are losers in the deal, but it does kind of feel like the Bears are winners, and all of that kind of mucks up what I think the truth of the matter is that the Chiefs probably got the best thing they could have gotten for Joe Thuney in this circumstance. It's unsatisfying because he's an elite player, and ultimately I think the return is, yeah, I get it, fine.
I'm not trying to look at this just from the Kansas City perspective, but I think the reason that we feel like Chicago is the winner today is because you know exactly what they have and you don't know what the Chiefs have. The Chiefs have cap space and a draft pick right now. Well, now let's see how you go about and use those assets. I have the same opinion of Joe Thuney that I imagine that you have about Joe Thuney. I think he was the best offensive lineman on Kansas City. I think he is extremely versatile. He is a productive player. He is a player that when the Bears give him a 2 or 3 year extension, you are going to feel very, very good about it. But I also think it's important to note that what Chicago needs right now and what Kansas City needs are two drastically different things. And Chicago has so much cap space. I think we had talked about this all offseason. They were going to be number one to try to go get Trey Smith. He obviously is going back to Kansas City. So then the other number one guard that was available ended up being the other guard for Kansas City.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely right. And honestly, in both Thuney and Trey Smith's deals, if I invert the scenario, it kind of clears some things up for me. So if you were to say, hey, the Chiefs just traded for a 32-year-old guard for a future 4th-round pick, and they're going to pay him $16 million this year on a 1-year rental, I'd be like, well, that doesn't seem like very good business, even though it's Joe Thuney. I wouldn't want the Chiefs to do the inverse of what they just did. I also wouldn't feel great about, well, the Chiefs just went out there and Trey Smith, who's been playing in Chicago through his rookie contract, he hit free agency, and the Chiefs are giving Trey Smith a 5-year deal worth $24 million per. I think I'd go, well, that's a little more than I wanted them to pay a kind of a run-first right guard, but, I guess I see it. For me, being able to invert it that way and to think about the Chiefs' window does become helpful, where I would not want the Bears side of the trade for the Chiefs. I'm still a little bit conflicted about all that Trey Smith money, but again, that's an electoral map problem. We saw the Trey Smith franchise tag before we saw step 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So in the totality of this offseason, I have to hope at least that a clear semblance of a plan comes together, and you can see how the Chiefs wanted to bolster by re-upping with their young players, give themselves a few more bites at the apple coming up soon in the next couple of drafts, and a little bit of a thing just to marinate on until we end up getting more news. I kind of wonder if they solve tackle in free agency, if that's Ronnie Stanley or if it's Donovan Smith and DJ Humphries or whatever it is, and they bring back Hollywood Brown. If they do that, I think the only obvious lack on the offense is the running back position in terms of like a long-term, little rejuvenation there. I could see them paying Hollywood and paying a tackle and then going defense and one running back in this draft class and just hammering that defensive side because they've been more fruitful there. The development from these young defenders has been coming along really, really nicely, and trying to draft in the trenches on the offensive side. The interior has been great. The edges have been a disaster. So I'm curious about how the entire domino effect of all of this is going to fall, because I don't think they're going to go into the draft with me playing left tackle. I'm certainly not fit for it, so I hope that's not the case. Although, if they wanted to tag me, I guess I'd talk to them. But I think it's going to be a fascinating couple of weeks here, because there has to be another move before the draft comes around.
Last thing here, and I appreciate your time. I'm going to give you a pie chart. Give me the pie chart or the percentage that you think their left tackle is a big swing. So I would say Ronnie Stanley, big swing. Dan Moore Jr. would be a big swing. What percentage would you give veteran 1-year option? Tyron Smith, Cam Robinson, DJ Humphries, one of those kind of players, or a rookie that you see this team starting and trying to do the same thing they did last year with Kingsley Suamataia. Give me your big swing portion of the pie chart. Give me your veteran 1-year stopgap. Give me your rookie portion.
I think that they are itching for a big swing. I think they're going to make an earnest push on that, and so I'm going to give 50% of the pie chart to a big swing. I don't love the big swings personally, but I think it's a 50% chance that it ends up being Ronnie Stanley or someone like that. I think the next 40% are a veteran 1-year type of deal. If it's a new face or a familiar one, I think that's the next most likely by a mile. I have a really hard time seeing them talk themselves into somebody at 31 or somebody trading up to 25 or certainly somebody in the second or third round. I just don't see that path making sense right now. Partially because of the Chiefs' recent history, and partially because the knock on a lot of this offensive line class, this tackle class, is that they have short arms and most of them are guards. Well, the Chiefs have plenty of guards. They even have a recently converted tackle to guard in Kingsley Suamata'i. Again, I'm expecting that's the plan there. I think there's a 90% chance it is a veteran, and I'm going to say 50% of that is going to a big swing, 40% of that is going to one of the veteran options.
That is our guy, Joshua Brisco, joining us on the show today. He does fantastic work as our Chiefs insider, breaking down the top story. The Chiefs have traded Joe Thuney for a 2026 fourth-round pick. Brisco, great stuff, my man. I appreciate you.
Happy to talk to you anytime there's Chiefs news, so just pick a random 4 a.m. window at some point, some weekend, and I'll plan with you then. It's gonna be a weird one.
Absolutely. That is our guy, Joshua Brisco, joining us on the show. There is one thing that puzzles me a little bit about this move. I'll tell you what it is. Keep it right here. Talking about the top story, Joe Thuney is a Bear. Keep it right here, so drive.
The Drive with Carrington Harrison on your home for Kansas City sports. 96.5, The Fan. Brought to you by DM Injury Law. Have you or a loved one been in a car wreck? Contact DM Injury Law today and get the money you deserve. Car wreck? Remember, Mike's got this.
Honey, it's me, your wife. Sorry to bother you, but this house is a mess. The windows are drafty, the vinyl siding has cracks and holes in it, and the kids just fell through the deck. We need Powell Exteriors KC now. They install James Hardie siding, Provia windows, Renaissance patio products, beautiful decks, roofing, and more, all at 0% interest for 18 months. Go to powellkc.com and see for yourself. Powell Exteriors KC. The best decision you've made since you married me.
Getting engaged? At Shane Company, we'll help you find the perfect diamond. This is your engagement ring, aka only your life's most important piece of jewelry. No need to worry. As gemstone experts since 1929, we handpick only the most beautiful natural and lab-grown diamonds cut to our high standards in every price range. We have diamonds in all shapes and sizes, ready to compare side by side right here in our store. Come see for yourself at Shanco.com or at your local store. No appointment necessary. Shane Company, your friend and jeweler.
Wouldn't you like to take a vacation from your bills? Well, you can. With credit card balances at an all-time high and Golden Oak's 5.25% rate, you could be saving thousands of dollars after a simple phone call. Call today and get your cash in as little as 14 days and make no payments for 2 months. Call 913-890-GOLD.
Golden Oak Landing cured my blues.
6.19 APR, FHA, 15-year, 20% equity qualified credit. Additional terms apply. NMLS 114937.
Here is your Game of the Week, presented by Hyundai. Another iteration of the league's biggest rivalry this weekend as Los Angeles travels to Boston. While Boston looks to maintain their spot in the East, Los Angeles will look to make a late-season push to improve their seeding for the postseason. Led by one of the greatest to ever do it, will LA be able to pull off the upset against a young, hungry Boston team? Here's a riddle for you. What do yoga mats, a toothbrush, and a Hyundai have in common? I'll give you a moment. Time's up. If you guessed they're all fun, well-designed, and super useful, you guessed wrong. The answer is you can order all those things on Amazon. And the best part, you won't even have to break down a car-sized Amazon box after, because you'll pick up your Hyundai at the dealer. Hyundai, now available on Amazon. Visit HyundaiUSA.com or call 562-314-4603 for more details. Limited availability. Pick up through participating Hyundai dealers in select markets. Now you can buy a new Hyundai at Amazon. Visit HyundaiUSA.com for more details.
You're listening to Leaf Filter Radio, and the guru of gutter protection himself, Chris Coonahan, is here to take your most pressing leaf-related questions.
Hey, everybody, Chris here. I understand we have Ron on the line. Ron, where are you calling from?
Uh-oh. Ron, are you calling from a ladder?
Well, I was. I wanted to ask Chris what I need to do to get my gutters ready to have leaf filter installed.
Oh, Ron, you don't have to do anything. A Leaf Filter Trusted Pro will come out and clean out your gutters, realign and seal your gutters, and install Leaf Filter, America's #1 gutter protection system.
So I didn't need to get on this ladder?
Ron, Leaf Filter Trusted Pros are in your neighborhood and ready to help. Just visit leaffilter.com/gutter to schedule your free gutter inspection and get up to 30% off.
Thank goodness. What was that site?
That's leaffilter.com/gutter for your free gutter inspection today. See representative for warranty details. Promotion is 20% off plus a 10% senior or military discount. One discount per household.
This afternoon, expect partly sunny conditions with a high of 37.
Weather brought to you by Robert Half. Robert Half's recruiting professionals use their award-winning AI to connect businesses with highly skilled talent. Learn more at roberthalf.com/talent today.
Chiefs fans, it's Hollywood Brown. Welcome to The Drive with Carrington Harrison on your home for Chiefs football. 96.5, The Fan.
All right, coming up at the top of the hour, we'll talk more about the compensation of this thing. This just hit me as I've been thinking more and more about what Nate Taylor had to say about the Chiefs and what he thinks the plan is. Now, I don't want these comments to be taken like I don't trust the reporting of Nate Taylor. I absolutely do. So if Nate tells me that he believes the Chiefs are trying to sign Ronnie Stanley, I believe him.
They're going to try to sign Ronnie Stanley. Let's just put it out there.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
This is it.
Yes.
This is it, kids. Cam Robinson, get out my face. This is an all-in move, and that isn't to say that this is going to work necessarily. Ronnie Stanley could obviously go back to Baltimore. Baltimore now knows this.
All right. This is where I struggle. And I would love to ask Nate this question. Is Ronnie Stanley the kind of player that the Chiefs sign? Or is this an overreaction to losing the Super Bowl? Ronnie Stanley is going to be 31 years old in 2 weeks. His birthday is March 18th. He will be 31 years old. And I think we all know enough that Ronnie Stanley is not coming in cheap if the Chiefs sign him. He has been a very productive left tackle in the NFL for 9 years and is coming off arguably his best season at left tackle last year. You ain't getting the homeboy hookup discounted price for Ronnie Stanley. They've never paid somebody like Ronnie Stanley, a 31-year-old who doesn't have a track record of being healthy. 6 games in 2020, 1 game in 2021, 11 in 22, 13 in 23. Now, last year it was phenomenal, but do you think that Ronnie Stanley is the player in 2024, or is it more likely that he's the player in 22 or 23? I'm going to guess that it's much more likely he's the 22 or 23 option as opposed to what we saw last year. I think Ronnie Stanley is a good player, but you guys tell me that everybody makes the Pro Bowl. Ronnie Stanley has made it 2 times in his 9 years. If they're just giving out Pro Bowls, why does Ronnie Stanley only have 2 of them? If he was that guy. Think about how many left tackles in the NFL that we actually know their name. Ronnie Stanley is one of them. You would think he'd have like 5 or 6 of these things. Nope, just got 2. He hasn't been healthy enough to maybe rack up and have those accolades. So that's number one. Again, I'm not saying that I don't trust the reporting of Nate Taylor, and it would line up. You lose a left guard, you want to take a big swing, and you want to replace him with a big name. See, we address left tackle. Ronnie Stanley's the answer to that? Now, maybe they're not going to get Ronnie Stanley. The only other really good left tackle would be Dan Moore Jr. Dan Moore Jr. is 26 years old, has played left tackle the last handful of years for the Pittsburgh Steelers. He's a good player. Now, for those of you that really follow Pro Football Focus, let's go on a little bit of a journey here. Rob, last year there were 141 tackles that were graded by Pro Football Focus. He was 46th on the list. When it comes to that same number, 141, he was 65th in pass blocking on Pro Football Focus. He was 67th in run blocking. You know what Dan Moore is? He's fine. I don't think that Dan Moore is elite. I don't think that Dan Moore is bad. I think that Dan Moore is fine. But given the scarcity of the position, he is about to get paid. He's about to get a 3-year, $50 million deal. You just saw what Alaric Jackson got. There's only other one left tackle in this year's free agent class. This is not a great year if you plan on drafting a free agent. That is a guy who, let's put our cards in the middle of the table, he gets a Jawan Taylor contract. Jawan Taylor was a good player that Jacksonville let go. Another team signed him to a great contract. And that great contract has been fine. It's been fine. I don't think that Jawan Taylor is the best. I don't think he's the worst. I think it is fine. Are the Chiefs in the business of signing another Jawan Taylor type? Because just looking at the raw numbers, and I don't want to make it seem like I'm some Brian Baldinger, I can evaluate these things. He seems like a good player that you're about to give a great contract to. And you guys know my philosophy. That is the worst thing you can do in the NFL. The worst thing you can do in the league is give good players great contracts. You always regret those. You don't mind paying a Chris Jones. You don't mind paying a guy like a Treshaun Wharton, a good player. You sign him to a 2-year, $18 million deal. Those are not the contracts that hurt you. What hurts you is you pay Jawan Taylor like he's an elite player in the league, and he is the grabbiest player in the league. It's given Dan Moore $18, $19 million guaranteed a season, and you have signed him like he's the second best left tackle in the league, and in fact, he's the 21st best left tackle in the league. I don't think that there's a lot of great options at left tackle this offseason. I don't think that Ronnie Stanley is a great option. I don't think that Dan Moore Jr. is a great option. I don't think that their answer is, well, now let's take what we got from the Joe Thuney trade and let's move up. You're not moving up very far from 31 with a future 4th-round pick. Trading Joe Thuney is not about acquiring assets to go get your left tackle. The question now is, what do you do with that cap space, and how do you address your other needs with the resources that have now opened up from a financial standpoint?
I will say this, because I think you're right. You don't see the Chiefs sign that level of contract. And Nate saying it's Ronnie Stanley, which would make me happy. I think the Chiefs are in a little bit in no man's land. They have a glaring need at left tackle. And we have spent time ad nauseum on this show talking about how there is no perfect fix at left tackle. We had Matt Miller on the station yesterday. He said most of the guys in the draft are guards. Outside of Mimbo, who plays right tackle, and because of his combine, is not going to be in the Chiefs' range. So draft, not really an option. There's a slew of flawed players in free agency. Ronnie Stanley is one of them. He's a good player, but he's flawed. Then there's also stopgap solutions like Donovan Smith, DJ Humphries, Tyron Smith that are inherently just that, stopgaps. Also flawed players that you think, hey, it's a one-and-done type of contract. The Chiefs were in no man's land. They couldn't pay $50 million to their offensive line without a left tackle. So they kind of had to do the move knowing that the value at left tackle is more important. I also think I'm willing to say if Ronnie Stanley is the guy, I'm happy because Ronnie Stanley plus Kingsley on the left side is passable. And that's what the Chiefs need. They don't need elite guard and bad tackle. They need a combination that makes it passable. And I think if Ronnie Stanley's the name, Ronnie Stanley plus Kingsley Suamataia is fine.
I also think that this is a question you have to be asking yourself if you are the Chiefs. Why would the Ravens be happy with you having Ronnie Stanley? Why? Because I remember it wasn't that long ago. It was not that long ago that we were all kind of laughing at the Ravens. Ha, 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 you guys are silly. Look, we fleeced you for Orlando Brown. I think the Ravens were right. I think the Ravens cashed out on Orlando Brown while his value was still very high. We don't want to pay him. And ultimately, the Chiefs came to the same conclusion that the Ravens did. Oh, yeah, he's not a guy that we want to pay. We're happy to let him hit free agency. So the Ravens are in that exact same position. Let's see what they do. Maybe they do want their left tackle back. Maybe they don't want their left tackle back. We got a couple of days to figure that out. But if the Ravens are perfectly fine with letting their last 2 left tackles go, and we are talking about a good organization, that's interesting. Pittsburgh, also a great organization. They would just let their 26-year-old left tackle hit free agency? They would just let him just outright leave and roll the dice with whatever compensatory pick that you would got. That's just usually not how we handle these things in the league. If you feel like you got somebody at that position, you do what the Rams did with Lamar Jackson. Wait, don't go. We'll figure this out. What do you need? 3 years, $51 million, 35 guaranteed? Sure, let's make that happen. We cannot afford to let you just walk out of the door. We can't. It's too hard to find another one of you. It's difficult to do. They're just not, the demand and the supply or not even, every team needs a quality left tackle. There's not enough of them. So when you feel like you got one, we're going to do everything in our power to keep them on the roster. You don't just let them leave in free agency and go sign with the Bengals if you feel like you got the one. Or if you're the Ravens and you're trying to beat the Chiefs, you don't just give them to them. There usually is a reason why. I just think that's very fair to point out. Coming up on the other side, let's keep talking about this Joe Thuney move. We will open up some time to take you guys' phone calls on this. I do want to talk about the compensation part of this. The Chiefs have traded Joe Thuney to the Bears for a 2026 fourth-round pick. What does that mean? Keep it right here. It's The Drive.
The Drive with Carrington Harrison on your new home for Chiefs football. 96.5, The Fan, brought to you by DM Injury Law. Have you or a loved one been in a car wreck? Contact DM Injury Law today and get the money you deserve. Car wreck? Remember, Mike's got this.
Kick off the Royal season with 96.5 The Fan at Hollywood Casino. Join us for an exclusive 96.5 The Fan roundtable featuring Michael Massey, Josh Vernier, and other special guests on March 28th at 6 p.m. Don't miss your chance to get insider insights before the season begins.
A body in motion stays in motion until you feel that muscle tighten. KRT helps you get back in action with all natural pain relief in just minutes. Learn more at krtrelief.com.
Some things just go together, like peanut butter and jelly, or a Casey's spicy chicken sandwich and a 49-cent medium fountain drink, or a Casey's breakfast sandwich and a 49-cent fountain drink, or even Casey's limited time Italian deli sliders and a 49-cent fountain drink. You get the idea. It's not crazy. It's Casey's. See store for details.
At Diamonds Direct, our experts go the extra mile to ensure you have the tools to say I do with absolute confidence. Our promise to you is a completely risk-free shopping experience rooted in transparency, education, and integrity. No pressure, no intimidation, just clarity and confidence in your purchase. But we're about more than just price. Everything is backed by our exclusive guarantees. Put our tools to the test against any competitor, and our expert staff will ensure you get the very best overall value and unforgettable experience. Learn more at diamondsdirect.com. Diamonds Direct, your love, our passion.
Call Aspen Lawn and Pest Control. Our iconic blue trucks and expert team get it right the first time. Award-winning full-service lawn care and pest control since 1985. Call today for a free estimate. Visit aspenlawn.com.
Do you have 3 ex-wives and your current trophy wife wants a life insurance policy 3 times the size of the policies you had to purchase for your previous mistakes? If so, you need to call Big Lou at Term Provider, 800-700-6898. Big Lou is intimately familiar with your problems, and if you're 50 or 60 years old and in reasonably good health, a $1 million policy should only cost about $100 to $200 per month. Big Lou may have a solution for your previous policies as well. You may even save enough money to lighten the load on your new $1 million policy. Remember, call Big Lou. He's like you, except he's only on number 2. Call Term Provider at 800-700-6898. That's 800-700-6898. For $1 million in term life insurance that you can live with. Call Big Lou at 800-700-6898. 800-700-6898.
Hi, it's me, your USPS Ground Advantage shipment. Just left the warehouse and hitting the road.
I know. Just got the notification.
Great. Smooth sailing so far. I'm almost there.
Yes, I know. I get all the updates.
Made it. Safe and sound.
I know.
Well, did you know I was with USPS the whole time?
Oh, yeah. I know.
Keep your business in the know with the USPS Ground Advantage service. Visit USPS.com/in-the-know.
Hey, it's Cody and Gold once again telling you about our friends over at Centric, and we've all been dealing with this brutal weather in Kansas City. Maybe you work outside and look, you've just had enough. Well, you can start a brand new career with our friends over at Centric because they allow you to advance your career on your time with their flexible schedules.
You choose your curriculum, go with that new career path, and stop worrying about what the weather will do for you. Call our guy, Russ Mondry. He's been with Centric for 16 years and will be with you to guide you every step of the way. Go to Centric.com now.
At Fisher Investments, we may seem like other money managers, but we're different.
What makes you so different than the rest of us?
We ensure clients receive unparalleled service at every step of the relationship.
Tell me more.
Our investment counselors focus on service over sales, prioritizing clients' needs.
How do you make money?
We don't sell any commission-based products. We have a simple management fee based on the value of our client's portfolio. So we do better when our clients do better.
what about client portfolios?
We get to know each client, their finances, family, health, lifestyle, and more, and then we tailor a portfolio based on their specific goals and needs.
Your clients really come first then, huh?
Yes, we make them a top priority. Our goal is helping them achieve a comfortable retirement.
Wow, maybe we are different.
At Fisher Investments, we're clearly different. Learn more at FisherInvestments.com.
Investing in securities involves the risk of loss.
The Royals Roundtable with Michael Massey, Kyle Isbell, and Josh Vernier. Friday, March 28th, starting at 6 o'clock at Hollywood Casino. Your home for Royals baseball. 96.5 The Fan, KFNC FM and AM, HD1 and HD2 Kansas City, an Odyssey sports station.
All right, let's talk about the compensation for Joe Thuney. So let me give you guys maybe all of the information around Thuney, and then we'll go from there. So Joe Thuney was traded to the Chicago Bears. The Chiefs got a 2026 fourth-round pick. The Chiefs do have a little bit of dead cap from the move because he was traded, but they did free up $16 million. So he was going to count 26.9 against the cap. They have obviously decided to move on from that deal, so they free up $16 million, and they still got to carry 10.9 just for this season. He had a salary guarantee of $2 million if he was on the team on March 14th. So they could not obviously trade him after the 14th. Why would you give him $2 million to just turn around and trade him? Doesn't make a lot of sense. So this was the window to move Joe Thuney if you were going to do it. Now, it's not to pat myself on the back, but it is something that I tell you guys all the time, and I think this is rather important. Your veteran players are never worth what you think they are when it comes time to move them. That if yesterday I told you I can see into the future and I can tell you that Joe Thuney is going to be traded on Wednesday morning, what do you think the compensation is? I'm guessing that 98% of you are wrong. You would have said, we're not trading him for less than a third. We'll take a fourth this year. He's an all-pro. He can be a second-round pick. Well, he got you a future fourth-round pick. You were not close to what the compensation was. Now, this is why I think the Chiefs did pretty good when it comes to compensation. I don't think there was a team out there that was going to give you more than what the Chicago Bears gave you. I think the Bears are the most offensive line needy team in the entire National Football League. They spent the number 1 overall pick on a quarterback, and he was the most sacked player. They just went out earlier this week, and they signed Jonah Jackson to a deal, and they are looking to make a big splash. They are kind of like what the Chiefs were after losing the Super Bowl to Tampa Bay. Hey, we got to try to fix this thing. All right, well, we got a lot of cap space. Let's try to spin it. Well, we want to go get Trey Smith. Well, he got franchise tag. Well, let's go get this guy. Wait, Joe Thuney's available. Let's go make a trade. Their number 1 objective was to shore up their offensive line. There is not a team in the league that was going to give you more for Joe Thuney than what Chicago gave you. There is not a scenario in which we love the Saints as our random example. The Saints didn't have a 5th-round pick this season, and the Chiefs were like, nah, let's help the Bears. No. I think this was the absolute most that you were going to get back in a deal. I think that we have to start looking at trades this way. What the Chiefs traded, what the Chiefs got back in a trade. Yes, they traded Joe Thuney, and it looks like all they got was a 4th-round pick. They also got $16 million in cap space. And that's just something that usually doesn't read out whenever you show the details of a trade, but that is very much the most important part of this, at least from the Kansas City perspective. I think this is the deal that you can justify on both sides. Sure, the Bears are spending a lot on interior offensive linemen. They have traded and are going to pay 2 of them this offseason. And just from a team-building exercise, it is the opposite of what Kansas City just told you. I would be doing more what the Chiefs are doing and less of what the Bears are doing, but that's another topic. But for the Bears, you are desperate to shore up your offensive line. You've done that this week, and you still have a top pick in the NFL draft. Now, you can do whatever you want. If you want to draft an offensive lineman and you really want to go big on O-line this offseason, you can. If you want to go get another wide receiver option, you can. If you want to go defense, the Bears can do anything they want now because you have addressed offensive line via trade. If you're Kansas City, you move off a 33-year-old player, you free up $16 million of cap space, and now you are free to do with that cap space what do you want? Do you want to go get Charles Omenihu and bring him back? Do you want to re-sign Trent McDuffie to sign him to an extension? Do you want to reach that same extension with George Karlaftis? Do you want to try to go get one of these wide receivers are available? We can go through the wide receiver market. It is strong this year. You freed up a lot of space, and this is just business in the National Football League. We didn't know it maybe at the time, and I understand that he started his career off at left tackle. They drafted Joe Thuney's replacement last year in Kingsley Suamataia. This is what you do. If you are an aging player entering the final year of your deal, you are at a fork in the road. You can either try to reach an extension with that club, or you're probably going to get traded. I mean, that exact same thing is happening to DK Metcalf right now. He's in the final year of his contract. Max Crosby was entering the final year of his contract. Saquon Barkley was entering, again, the final year of his contract. Your team either decides they want to pay you, and they're going to do that on the front end, or they're going to let somebody else handle that, and they're going to move on and thank you for your services. We got our answer to what Joe Thuney's answer was. I don't have a problem with this trade. I don't have a problem with the compensation. I think the compensation is in line with what I think Joe Thuney is worth. You got less than what you got for a corner last year. Positional value matters. I know that we kind of thumb our nose at it and just, hey, acquire as many good players as you can. Well, what position they play matters. And there's no world in which you were going to get a second or third round pick for the 19th most important position on the field. And it's also important to note that that team that is going to give you that second or third round pick now has to turn around and negotiate an extension with that player. I want you guys to remember this. So the next time this comes up, we don't have to address it. If that player is cheap and young, you got a chance of getting a good pick. If Joe Thuney was on his rookie deal and you determined that you didn't want to pay him, you maybe could have got something. You could have got something pretty good for him. If he is a player that is about to become expensive, you are not getting back great assets, because what that team feels like they're giving you is cap flexibility. What that team feels like they're giving you now is you get money back. You got $16 million. That's the benefit of you making this deal. So sure, you're not paying this player. Now we're going to take on that. But now it gives you the freedom to go do what you want to do in free agency, and you allocate your resources as you see fit. I don't think that this is a bad deal for the Chiefs. I think right now it's easy to call this a win for the Bears because we know what the Bears received in the trade. It's pretty straightforward what they received. They got the player. They got the tangible physical asset that right now you can touch. Everything that the Chiefs have is an idea. They have a future fourth-round pick. They have cap space that now you have to go spend and decide how you want to allocate it. So, yeah, it looks today like the Bears got the front end of the deal, but I'm not so sure if that's going to be the case on the back end. We have to see what Kansas City does.
This is the harsh reality, and we've talked about it on the show. Like, if we're going to puff our chest out and say, look at us, we talked about the idea that Joe Thuney could be a surprise cut. The way his cap was structured, his age, and the fact that the Chiefs tagged Trey Smith. Trey Smith is now a $20 million player at right guard. The day that happened, the clock started ticking on Joe Thuney. So I think the compensation was fine because I think the two options for the Chiefs were cut Joe Thuney and get nothing and save the same money, by the way. If they cut him, they would still carry $10 million in dead cap, and they'd save $16 million. They would receive zero assets for him. That's how cutting a player works. Or you shop him around, and you hope a team like the Bears would prefer to get him now as opposed to battle for him in free agency. The compensation's low. I get it. I, as a fan, would understand why you're like, oh, I hate the number, and you should. But what the Chiefs did was they took the best deal, and I could see other teams will use the Saints. We love using the Saints. The Saints probably thought, no, we'll wait because you probably are going to cut Joe Thuney. I'm betting that's the decision Brett Veach was making today. Do I take a 2026 fourth and guarantee he's a Bear, or do I just have to cut him because At that cap number, the Chiefs could not carry $50 million in cap on three. They couldn't do it. So he was either cut or trade today. They win by getting a trade. Now, you're right. Let's see what happens with that cap space. But the minute the Trey Smith thing was signed, we hinted at it. Watch out for surprise cut. It's surprise trade instead.
So someone on the text line said, CDOT, can you help us understand the cap hit portion of this? This is maybe the best way of describing it. For those of you that play video games and you go to GameStop, for example, let's say you spend $30 for a video game, right? You then play the video game, right? You play the video game. You've had a lot of fun with the video game, but now it's time for you to move on from the game. Well, you spent some money on the game, right? But GameStop is willing to give you some of your money back. So by trading them to the Chicago Bears, you get back a little bit of assets. Now, you still have a sunk cost of what you spent for the player. So that's $10 million for the Chiefs. Or you can just keep the game and you still have your full $30 that you spent from the very, very beginning. So the Chiefs really had two options. They could have just had him for the $26 million for this upcoming season, and that is what you have agreed to take. Or you decided to trade him. Now the Bears are going to assume that contract, and now you're only in it for $10 million for this upcoming season. Hopefully that made sense. I tried to explain the math of this as simply and easy as possible, but the Chiefs save a little bit of money for this season. It is just 1 year of dead cap for Joe Thuney. Once you get to 2027, that is not going to be an issue with Joe Thuney. You get that cap space back, but then you'll pick up dead cap from other players. You'll pick it up for this player, and that's usually how this thing works. I don't think that this is a bad move for the Chiefs. I don't think that today can be a great day for the Chiefs because you don't know what they've got in return. I would say right now they have a mystery box. The mystery box could be something special. They could end up using that fourth-round pick. They could trade that for a veteran player as part of a trade. They could end up drafting that player. That player hits. That player could be a bust. Let's see how they use the fourth-round pick. Let's also see how they use the cap space, who they acquire with the cap space, and how that player ends up. So the Bears portion of this is certain because we know what kind of player they have with Joe Thuney, and there is not a scenario to me in which Joe Thuney does not work in Chicago. It's a little bit more ambiguous with the Kansas City Chiefs, so let's see how it ends up working out. Coming up in about 30 minutes or so, we're going to head to Chicago and be joined by Mark Carman, who covers the Chicago Bears. We got a little bit of time to take you guys' phone calls. 913-586-7965, 913-586-7965. If you want to talk about this, we're talking about the top story of the day. Joe Thuney is no longer a member of the Chiefs. He plays for the Bears. Keep it right here. It's The Drive.
The Drive with Carrington Harrison on your new home for Royals baseball. 96.5 The Fan. Brought to you by DM Injury Law. Have you or a loved one been in a car wreck? Contact DM Injury Law today and get the money you deserve. Car wreck? Remember, Mike's got this.
College basketball is reaching its most exciting stretch of the season. Right now, new customers on FanDuel get $150 in bonus bets when your first $5 wager wins. That's $150 extra bucks to bet on everything from conference clashes to tournament upsets to even who you think is going to cut down the nets. You guys know I like my Missouri Tigers, and I got a feeling this could be the year that they make a deep run in the tournament. So don't wait anymore. And if you've been waiting to join FanDuel, there's no better time than the present. The app is easy to use, and when you win, you'll get paid instantly. So visit FanDuel.com/KFNZ, use my promo code, and get in on the March basketball action. FanDuel is an official sports betting partner of 96.5 The Fan. 21 and present in Kansas. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonus issue is non-withdrawable bonus bets which expires 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. FanDuel is offering online sports wagering in Kansas under agreement Kansas Star Casino, LLC. Gambling problem? Getting help is your best bet. Call 1-800-522-4700. Visit ksgamblinghelp.com.
Our daughter Jessie loves playing detective. A clue.
But since we discovered she has sensitive skin, we've been playing detective too.
We thought the problem was our puppy.
But it was actually our old detergent.
Aha.
So we switched to Tide Free and Gentle. Tide Free and Gentle provides an excellent Tide clean, and it doesn't leave behind irritating residues like dyes or perfumes, so it's gentle on your skin.
Case closed.
If it's got to be clean, it's got to be Tide Free and Gentle.
Men, this is Jeff for Heartland Men's Health.
The one you love is the light of your life. And if you're like most of us, you want to do whatever you can to nurture your relationship. But if you're suffering with erectile dysfunction, you know the impacts the condition is likely having on you and your partner. ED is a relationship destroyer. It can contribute to depression, distancing, conflicts, and even breakups and divorce. And what's so disturbing about this is that most men who suffer with ED can be successfully treated, but a lot of guys don't seek treatment when they should. At Heartland Men's Health, we have protocols that are effective in well over 90% of cases. In fact, if you're like most guys, you could be having great sex within a day or two of your first appointment, and maybe find you're performing like you haven't in a long time. So call Heartland Men's Health today. Your initial visit is only $99 and includes blood work, a medical consult, and if medically advised, a test dose. And if that test dose doesn't work in the office, your visit is free. Call 844-447-6600 or go to heartlandmenshealth.com. We have 3 offices, Overland Park, Independence, and North Kansas City.
You ever try fixing your car and realize you're missing that one part? Yeah, been there. That's why eBay's my go-to. They've got millions of parts, guaranteed to fit. I'm talking brake pads for when yours have seen one too many miles of stop and go. Oil filters, cause you don't mess around with your engine care. Even got this cold air intake on my watch list. I might just go for it. To keep the ride cool and your DIY streak hot. Find all the parts you need at prices you'll love. Guaranteed to fit every time. eBay. Things people love. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
T-Mobile home internet is all about speed, value.
What you doing, Zach?
I'm rehearsing. There are so many benefits. You got to talk fast.
T-Mobile home internet ranks #1 in customer satisfaction for home wireless internet by J.D. Power.
Wow, you are good.
Try singing it. T-Mobile has price lock.
They won't raise your rate on internet.
Hulu and Paramount Plus on them.
Get T-Mobile home internet all in for just $55 a month with auto pay and any postpaid voice line.
Additional terms apply. For J.D. Power 2024 award information, visit jdpower.com/awards.
This is the story of the one. As a quality technician in a food processing center, she knows that making the right call is the best way to avoid a recall. That's why she trusts Grainger's world-class supply chain to deliver the high-quality supplies she needs to help keep her production line, her equipment, and her customers happy and healthy. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done. This is the story of the one. As a quality technician in a food processing center, she knows that making the right call is the best way to avoid a recall. That's why she trusts Grainger's world-class supply chain to deliver the high-quality supplies she needs to help keep her production line, her equipment, and her customers happy and healthy. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Still getting around to that fix on your car? You got this. On eBay, you'll find millions of parts, guaranteed to fit. Doesn't matter if it's a major engine repair or your first time swapping your windshield wipers. eBay has that part you need, ready to click perfectly into place. For changes big and small, loud or quiet. Find all the parts you need at prices you'll love. Guaranteed to fit every time. But you already know that. eBay. Things people love. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
Royals coverage sponsored by Renner Garage Door. Forward and back. RENNER.
I was coined almost Andy Reid when I was on a radio show, and it stuck with me ever since. Renner Garage Door can help you not get stuck out in the cold this winter. Book your annual maintenance or get a free replacement quote today. RENNER forward and back. RennerDoor.com.
Here's traffic, brought to you by DM Injury Law. Have you or a loved one been in a car wreck? Contact DM Injury Law today and get the money you deserve. Car wreck? Remember, Mike's got this.
29 northbound on the Missouri side, heading towards St. Joseph. Accident at exit 25 has you shut down. They're routing folks to the rest area. 2.5 miles of slow traffic approaching. Heading into town from Kearney, about 4 miles of slowdowns. 35 southbound. Approaching the merge of 69 highway. Stays heavy down to Missouri 152 with an earlier accident. Alan Carr, 96.5 The Fan. Traffic.
You're listening to 96.5 The Fan from the Mission Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling Studios.
Chiefs fans, it's Nick Bolton, MIZ. Welcome to The Drive with C-Dot on your home for Chiefs football. 96.5 The Fan.
I want to play something that Nate Taylor said earlier today. Coming up, we'll also talk about wide receiver, and the wide receiver market is going to be very entertaining to watch and track. Coming up in about 25 minutes or so, Mark Carman's going to join us on the show. We're talking about the top story. The Chiefs have traded Joe Thuney to the Bears. Nate Taylor was on the morning show earlier today. Shout out to Fesco and Dusty. Here's what Nate Taylor said on why he thinks they moved Joe Thuney.
If you're really going to fix left tackle, you have to make a move like this. And I will just put it very simply in this terms. Who is the younger player at guard? The younger player is Trey Smith. Mm-hmm. He stays. Unfortunately, Joe Thuney moves on to Chicago.
I am willing to make a decree to you guys today. I'm willing to even set up what we think the penalty could be for me being incorrect about this. If you do this job long enough, you miss predictions, you miss picks. The game is the game. But I am telling you today that trading Joe Thuney 100% ensures they are not starting a rookie at left tackle. I do not see a scenario for Kansas City in which their left tackle and left guard have 3 combined NFL starts. I just don't see it. I don't see it. I understand that they're optimistic about Kingsley and playing left guard and him being able to make that transition. And man, that makes a lot of sense why they would feel that way. Obviously, based on this move, they 100% feel that way. They think the kid can play. We have spent a second-round pick on this player, and we think we can coach him up and we can get him to be what we need at the position. Hey, that's great. I don't think that you are going to put Kingsley in a position where when he looks to his left, there's a lot of inexperience there. Maybe they don't end up taking the big swing that Nate believes that they could take with the Ronnie Stanley. Maybe they don't go get a Dan Moore Jr. Maybe they do go sign a Tyron Smith. Maybe they do go get a Cam Robinson. Maybe they go not home run swing, but they're going to go more of a veteran 1-year stopgap kind of player. Maybe that is the option. But I am telling you, I am now 100% confident, 100% they are not starting a rookie at left tackle. I just don't think that's the plan. I think it's going to be a legitimate debate about the left side of their offensive line and what the better of the two options would have been. There will not be a debate to me if their plan is rookie left tackle, and I don't care who the rookie left tackle is. If their plan is rookie left tackle and Kingsley Suamataia on the left side of their offensive line, they are not close to as good as they were on the offensive line, and that's even dating back to the Super Bowl, and we saw how that offensive line held up. That is a dangerous proposition. I think they are going for much more of a sure thing. So, Rob, I'd love to get you to chime in on this, and I do want to play what Brett Veach had to say about Kingsley Suamataia and how they project on what they think he can be. But this move today, I am ready to lock it in right now. You can mark in this tape. I do not think there is a scenario. There is not a chance. It is a 0% chance that the first game of the season, the Chiefs are starting a rookie at left tackle. Not if Kingsley's going to play left guard.
Yeah, I mean, that's not even that bold to me. First off, I agree full with you. I mean, Kingsley Suamataia, I know that Brett Veach on this radio station said he, in the exit interview with Andy Heck, liked what he heard about the idea of Kingsley at guard. That's great. He played one game at guard. It was the game that, I mean, it counted but didn't count because it was against the Broncos. So we don't know what we don't know about Kingsley. But I doubt they put a rookie next to him. I also don't think it's a bold stance by you because Matt Miller, who is better at the draft than me and you, know what he said yesterday? There ain't no left tackles at 31. And the Chiefs, the Chiefs are not trading everything to go get Mimbo. And by the way, Mimbo was a right tackle at Missouri. So even that is an imperfect option. So it's a flawed draft, and you have a basic rookie at left guard. Yeah, I 100% agree with you. They're not starting a rookie at left tackle. We can disagree on maybe the level of veteran. I don't know if you're still all in on your DJ Humphries plan or if you've thought, okay, now it's time for a little bit bigger swing, but it's not going to be who's the kid from Ohio State? Donovan Jackson? Yeah. Is that his kid? It's not going to be him. He might be on the roster. He won't be starting week 1. So, yeah, I don't think it's that bold knowing we know about the draft and knowing we know about the Chiefs and how they operate on the offensive line.
I just don't even see a scenario that they would have started Kingsley Suamataia at left tackle. Like last year, I think part of the reason why you tried the experiment was because you knew you had Joe Thuney on the other side, so you felt like that could be a little bit of a safety net. That safety net is gone over on the left side. You feel very confident about the right side. You got 3 veterans on the right side. with your center, right guard, and right tackle. It is going to be an uncertainty. At least right now, it looks like it is uncertain on the left side. Let's obviously see what they do with tackle before we call it an uncertainty. Brett Veach was on the station last week. Here's what he said the plan is for Kingsley. Now we certainly have a lot more clarity on how they feel about him.
I think that's a possibility. I do think that the coaches were really encouraged about his guard play. He had one game in there, but and this is something that the public can't see, but in the practices leading up to the Super Bowl and the playoffs, I think you kind of saw the light turn on there, and in our individual and group work, one of the things in our exit meeting that I talked to Coach Eck about was, he was really excited about the potential for Kingsley taking a next step up in his quality of play next year, but he thought he had a really, really big upside at guard too. So I think we'll have some flexibility with him. Not going to roll anything out with any of these guys in regards to position flex, but he's a guy that potentially could transition to guard and be a long-term solution at guard.
So let's see what happens with Kingsley Suamataia. I think it is everybody's expectation is that he's going to play left guard for this team. It would be very, very surprising. The Chiefs have spent a second-round pick in the last couple of drafts. They've also spent a third-round pick on Wanya Morris. I believe that the left guard for next year's team is currently on the roster. We'll see if there is a position battle for a left guard, but I don't think they're going out in free agency and spending any money on left guard. You've spent money on the offensive line. One of those two guys need to duke it out and win out that position, and then we'll see what the plan is at left tackle. We'll get back to Joe Thuney in just a bit, but let me tell you guys that free agency wide receiver is going to be by far and away the most interesting market that is out there. Let me just go through a handful of the names that are available for wide receiver deals. Devontae Adams, Stephon Diggs, Keenan Allen, Amari Cooper. What's the status right now on Chris Godwin? He didn't get the franchise tag.
He'll be a free agent.
But is the plan that he's going to go back to Tampa Bay, or is he going to be somebody because early season Chris Godwin, like the first 7-8 weeks of the season before the injury, Chris Godwin was a dog for Tampa Bay. And then the injury happened. He's now 29 years old. We'll see what happens. I just wanted to get some clarity on him. Brandon Cooks, Deontay Johnson, Christian Kirk recently got released. Tyler Lockett recently got released. DeAndre Hopkins is available in free agency. Robert Woods, Hollywood Brown, KJ Osborne, Demarcus Robinson, Nelson Aguilar, DJ Chark, who has been available in free agency. It feels like for the last 6 consecutive seasons, you could have got DJ Chark on a 1-year deal if you were interested or not. This team, to me, needs a veteran wide receiver. They need one. You have Rashee Rice, who is entering year 3 of his career and basically didn't play his second year. You got Xavier Worthy. You need a veteran wide receiver. Now, who could that veteran wide receiver be? Are they interested in this guy being wide receiver number 3 or wide receiver number 4? I'd be very interested if the Chiefs wanted to go get Tyler Lockett, and instead of the passes that used to go to Justin Watson, those passes now go to Tyler Lockett. You guys know I am all about giving Patrick Mahomes more and putting more weapons around him. We'll talk about DK Metcalf here coming up in just a bit. He is a player I'd like for the Chiefs to be very interested in. But one position that I'd love for the Chiefs to go grab one of these options, because we all know how this market works. A couple of these guys are getting peanuts this offseason. There's too many of you. There's 15, 20 guys that we've heard of that you could potentially get on a 1-year contract that's out there. Go find one you like. Make an upgrade over Justin Watson. Make an upgrade over who you've had at wide receiver 4 and 5. And go get a guy like Darius Slayton. Go get a KJ Osborne. Go get a Demarcus Robinson. And that would be an improvement over wide receiver 4. You're not going to break the bank. It's not going to cost you a lot of cap space. And you still got flexibility if you want to go get a wide receiver number 1 or wide receiver 2. But looking at this veteran wide receiver market, it would be a shame if Kansas City, or really any contending team, I don't care if you're Buffalo, if you were a contending team, you owe it to yourself to go grab one of these veteran wide receivers. It's just too many of them. And there's going to be a handful of teams that say to themselves, why would we go get 28-year-old Christian Kirk when we can just go to the NFL draft and we can try to get that guy with a 4th or a 5th round pick and we can get a significantly lower price for a comparable kind of player? I just think there's more wide receivers than maybe the market needs, and that usually drives the price down. And this is where, if you're a smart organization or if you have a good quarterback, a good offensive-minded head coach, you can convince a guy, come in here, ball out for a season, up your value, up your stock a little bit, and then you can go hit free agency. You are doing yourself a disservice if you don't go grab one of these veteran wide receivers. There's just too many of them.
Here's the thing. I actually would be okay with him grabbing one of those guys for peanuts peanuts of a paycheck. I have the one I prefer. We don't need to get into the minutia of that. You called him wide receiver 4, whoever that player is. I think it's wide receiver 3. I think because the depth of that grouping and the fact that you have Xavier Worthy and Rashee Rice on the roster. Now, Rashee Rice is going to get suspended, but whatever. You have those two locked in. I don't think you need to do that and another explosive player. I think that's the wide receiver move. I think the Chiefs are in the perfect situation at wide receiver. They can get deeper and they can get better at wideout while paying pennies on the dollar. If they got Tyler Lockett on March 12th, the league season opens, and they get him on the Juju contract, that's a win. That's a success. That's great for wide receiver 3. And I think as we have these wide receiver conversations, and you mentioned we're going to talk about DK in a minute, I think me and you just view what they have differently. I think they have two known commodities of wide receiver. They're young, but they are guys now that I trust. And it's time to find complementary pieces to those guys. Not, hey, we got to add another dog in the room. I don't think you need another dog in the room. I think you got two dogs. Go get a complementary piece. And if that's, KJ Osborne or whoever, that's a win for the Chiefs because you can get not the MVS, you can get the Juju Smith-Schuster deal for a better player.
I think we maybe agree a little bit more than you think we do. I don't deny that they have two dogs on the team, but I'm looking at their depth chart for right now. These are the wide receivers from the last game that the Chiefs had. Xavier Worthy, under contract for next year. Rashee Rice, under contract for next year. Hollywood Brown, free agent. Juju Smith-Schuster, free agent. DeAndre Hopkins, free agent. Justin Watson, free agent. Sky Moore, you don't want him around anymore. They don't have enough bodies right now at the position. So what I'm saying is, I think maybe where you and I are different is, I want an excess. I don't want just enough at wide receiver. I want an excess. What's stopping you from making a trade to go out and get a DK Metcalf and then grabbing one of these other options, grabbing a Robert Woods, grabbing a KJ Osborne, and getting them for the cheap? You paid Justin Watson. It was a 2-year, $3.5 million deal. Imagine if you were willing to spend 1 year, $4 million, the amount of player that you can get at that. Because one of these names that I just read off, and I can keep reading them off, there's a bunch of these. You can get Nelson Aguilar. You can get Mac Hollins. You can get Tyler Boyd. You can Zay Jones. You can get a wide receiver that we've heard of. That would be an upgrade to your room for not a lot of money. There's 20 of these guys in free agency this upcoming season. That's not an exaggeration. Go on Spot Track right now and look at free agent wide receivers. There's 20 of them. Spend a little bit of money and give Pat more. Not enough at wide receiver. If the Chiefs want to be aggressive at wide receiver, if you really want the explosiveness to come back to this offense, you get explosiveness from explosive players. I love Justin Watson. You want to know what he's not? Explosive. You want to know what Juju Smith-Schuster wasn't last year? Explosive. DeAndre Hopkins. If you want big plays to come back, you got to get players that can generate big plays. And they didn't have many of those guys on their roster last year. Let's keep talking about wide receiver because, at least for me, I want the Chiefs to be aggressive at the position. There is a chance that DK Metcalf is available. DK Metcalf has told his employer, I don't want to work here anymore. Here's Ian Rappaport.
The situation that has been bubbling for the last several weeks. DK Metcalf, as colleague Tom Pelissero and I reported this morning, has requested a trade from Seattle. He had a meeting this morning with Seattle brass, discussed the trade request. The team has acknowledged it and essentially said, you are allowed to explore it, and they will do some exploring as well. It is not a great free agent class at the receiver position. It is not a great receiver class in the draft. Players like DK Metcalf, I would say similar to Deebo Samuel, when they become available and there's just not a lot of other players where teams can improve upon their roster with, these guys become coveted. I expect there to be significant interest in DK Metcalf. We'll see if Seattle gets enough interest to do a trade. This is really one of the best receivers in the NFL. The fact that he's become available, I can assure you, teams have noticed.
Maybe I'm the only person that feels this way. And it sounds like on this show, I'm the person that feels this way. I want Patrick Mahomes to have some of the things that a lot of these other quarterbacks in the league have. I want Pat to have a great running back. I don't think he's had a great running back in 6 years. I don't think they've given him a great running back. I think they've given him a capable run game. I don't think they have spent the resources to try to give him a great running game. I think they have given him just enough at wide receiver. I think there's a chance that you can do more. You can do better. When Pat was his best, and when you looked at him like a superhero, he had prime Travis Kelce. He had prime Travis Kelce and prime Tyreek Hill. Maybe you're not going to get that, but you know what you can get right now? Something they haven't had in 4 years. A mid-20-year-old explosive wide receiver that they could add to the roster. They have not had that. They've not had a mid-20-something vertical threat in their offense in 5 years. DK Metcalf is available, and I think we know that DK is going to a contender. It is not going to be a bad team that trades for DK Metcalf. It's going to be a Buffalo. It's going to be a Baltimore. It's going to be a team in the NFC that feels like he is the missing piece to their offense. Why can't that team be the Chiefs? Why can't the Chiefs be the team that says, hey, you know what? We want to give our quarterback in his prime weapon at wide receiver. In his prime weapon. Have they tried to acquire that player since Mahomes has been the quarterback? I'm saying has Brett Veach, not John Dorsey, has Brett Veach tried to attract that player since Patrick Mahomes has been the starting quarterback? They've tried it once.
I mean, what do you call it, the draft? I mean, they've tried it in the draft.
Yeah, no, I'm saying is in free agency, have they gone out and spent the money for a player that was in his prime on offense?
Yeah, I mean, Sammy Watkins is the answer.
Yeah. That was 6 years ago they've done it. When they signed Sammy Watkins, 2018?
Mm-hmm.
Rob, you were in college in 2018. What are you talking about? You were at 18 in 2018. You're telling me that's the last time we think they spent resources on a player who was in their prime on offense? It's amazing they've accomplished what they've accomplished if that's the case. You got a quarterback that's in his prime. Go get him some pieces and weapons that are in his prime. I want them to try to go get DK.
I have no interest in DK. Zero. Zip, zilch, nada. Here's some fun facts about DK. He requires a new contract extension. That's correct, because he's owed $22 million in 2025. The Chiefs are not paying for a $22 million cap hit in 2025. So he will need an extension. Do you know how old he'll be when the extension kicks in? 29. Do you know what Brett Veach is? He's an ageist. He ain't giving extensions to 29-year-olds. He just doesn't do it. The one exception is the greatest tight end in the history of football. That's the one time where he said, yo, you're 30, you can get an extension. When it was the greatest player in the history of the position.
I don't mind paying DK Metcalf. DK Metcalf is 27 years old right now. I don't mind paying DK to lock him in for the remainder of him being 27 years old, 28 and 29. If I was a team right now, I would trade for DK Metcalf, and I would sign him for the next 3 years. I wouldn't give him more than that. Or you know how it is. You can give him a 4-year deal that basically makes it a 3-year deal. You all know that you can get a little funny money with the math. Can you imagine giving Patrick Mahomes a 27-year-old wide receiver in the prime of his career, a guy who has never had less than 900 yards receiving, who has never done that?
I don't have to imagine it because it's not going to happen. Why would I waste time dreaming that? I don't sit around and be like, you know what? Where would I take Sidney Sweeney out for dinner on the plaza? Because it's not going to happen. He's going to be 29 in 2026. Brett Veach does not give extension to old people. DK Metcalf's going to need a walker by the time he's out of Kansas City.
That's crazy.
That's not who he extends.
I want you to remember this, and I want you to hold on to it, because I know you in week 7 when you were complaining about the Chiefs offense and you say that Mahomes looks like Alex Smith, And the reason he looks like Alex Smith is because he has Rashee Rice, Hollywood Brown, and Xavier Worthy, and you also didn't want them to go get a running back. I want you to remember this conversation when I was like, hey, DK Metcalf is available. Why don't you spend some of the resources to go get a 27-year-old in his prime wide receiver? That's what I want them to do. So I want you to remember this conversation because you and I both know you will say that at some point this season. You will find some stat that Mahomes is 19th in yards down the field and be like, oh, this is dink and dunk. He's turned into check down Charlie. I know you're going to say those things. You know what you wouldn't be? If you spent money on wide receiver. You get what you pay for.
You have a first-round pick and a second-round pick as wide receiver 1 and 2 that are good and under contract for the foreseeable future.
I guess I just don't understand why. I guess I just don't understand why you can't get more. I just saw a team.
Because they have more needs than wide receiver 3. Their left tackle right now is me. It's bad.
I just saw a team in the Super Bowl that had a better running back than what Kansas City has, 2 better wide receivers than what Kansas City has, a better tight end, and a better offensive line. They seem like they got more. They seem like they got more pieces.
But their wide receiver 3 wasn't an expensive wide receiver 3. You know what they did? Now, A.J. Brown, they traded for on a rookie contract, but they had 2 guys on a rookie contract. 2, and then they paid him. But you know what they were when Devontae Smith got paid? 25. You know how old A.J. Brown was? 25. You know what DK Metcalf is? Not 25.
Okay, he's 27. I can't believe.
He's going to be 28 next year. I don't know why that is not clicking.
I just can't believe we're acting like DK Metcalf is 30. You're acting like I said go get Devontae Adams. That's how you're treating DK Metcalf, like I said go get Devontae Adams. It's real sick work what you're doing over there. We got Carm coming up next to talk about Joe Thuney. Keep it right here. It's The Drive.
The Drive with Carrington Harrison on your new home for K-State Athletics, 96.5 The Fan. Brought to you by DM Injury Law. Have you or a loved one been in a car wreck? Contact DM Injury Law today and get the money you deserve. Car wreck? Remember, Mike's got this.
What would you do if you could go back in time with the tap of a button?
Watch the ancient Egyptians build the pyramids?
How'd they do it?
Buy enough Bitcoin to purchase your very own private island.
Or maybe just skip the joke that flopped at the holiday party.
Unfortunately, we haven't figured out how to rewind time, but you can rewind live shows with the free Odyssey app.
Never miss your favorite sports talk again. To get started, download Odyssey and search for your station.
When you think about Kansas City, you think about barbecue. And when you think about barbecue, you think about Smokehouse Barbecue. From their amazing baby back ribs to their world-famous hickory pit beans and Cajun butter chicken wings, Smokehouse has been my family's go-to for barbecue for years. You can dine in or carry out at their 3 locations in Zona Rosa, Independence, and Gladstone. Check them out at smokehousebbq.com. That's smokehousebbq.com. For over 35 years, locally owned and family operated, it's Smokehouse Barbecue.
Basketball fans, don't miss the MIAA Basketball Championships March 5th through 9th at Municipal Auditorium. 18 games over 5 days, the nation's best small college basketball tournament will feature some of the nation's best Division II teams. Get your tickets now through Ticketmaster and visit odyssey.com/965thefan/events February 20th through 24th to register to win free tickets. MIAA Madness, March 5th through 9th. Bring your A game.
Hey, Missouri sports fans, I've got good news. Underdog is available to play in your state. This basketball season, team up with your favorite stars and have a chance to win money from watching sports over at Underdog. From fast breaks to buzzer beaters to block parties, there's nothing as exciting as basketball. With Underdog, you can bring that excitement to wherever you watch. Playing on their app is as easy as choosing higher or lower on player stats like threes made, points, rebounds, and so much more. Get those selections right, and you could win up to 1,000 times your money. Millions of fans have won billions on Underdog. You gotta be next? Download the Underdog app and sign up now using that promo code TAP to unlock a special offer up to $1,000 in bonus cash when you make your first deposit. Join in on the fun when you sign up with that promo code TAP. Claim your special offer today, and you'll get up to $1,000 in bonus cash instantly upon your first deposit. Must be 18 plus and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Concern with your play. Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org.
Guys, could you benefit from a little extra in the bedroom? We all could. Blue Chew can help. Your partner wants you to do whatever it takes to make your sex life better. Whether you've got erectile dysfunction or you're like my upstairs neighbors and you want to get it on at any time, of the day. Blue Chew is your secret weapon for the bedroom wherever you decide to get it on. We know that pro athletes train every day to perform better on the field, but what if you could improve your performance in the bedroom as well with no training required? That's right, I'm talking about Blue Chew. Turn oh no into oh yes with Blue Chew. Blue Chew's tablets are chewable, so if you don't like swallowing pills, that's no problem. They're also made in the U.S. They prepare and ship direct, so it's cheaper than a pharmacy. If you could benefit from extra confidence when it's time to perform, visit BlueChew.com. Ready for a great offer? How about free? Go to BlueChew.com. Get your first month free when you use our promo code KFNZ at checkout. Just pay $5 for shipping. That's BlueChew.com, promo code KFNZ to receive your first month free. Just chew it and do it.
This is the story of the one. As a quality technician in a food processing center, she knows that making the right call is the best way to avoid a recall. That's why she trusts Grainger's world-class supply chain to deliver the high-quality supplies she needs to help keep her production line, her equipment, and her customers happy and healthy. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Still getting around to that fix on your car? You got this. On eBay, you'll find millions of parts guaranteed to fit. Doesn't matter if it's a major engine repair or your first time swapping your windshield wipers. eBay has that part you need, ready to click perfectly into place for changes big and small. Loud or quiet, find all the parts you need at prices you'll love. Guaranteed to fit every time. But you already know that. eBay. Things, people, love. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
Royals coverage sponsored by Metal by the Foot, your metal project superstore.
At Metal by the Foot, we pride ourselves on delivering the highest quality metal to meet your exact needs. Located in Casey and Topeka, online at metalbythefoot.com. When you need a piece of metal, remember, metal doesn't have to cost an arm or a leg, just the foot.
Here's traffic, brought to you by DM Injury Law. Have you or a loved one been in a car wreck? Contact DM Injury Law today and get the money you deserve. Car wreck? Remember, Mike's got this.
Still looking at a stalled car, northbound 435 to 70 westbound, stopping traffic. North Kansas City, southbound 435, right at 210 highway. There's another stalled car, but that has moved off to the right shoulder. I'm Lori Pearson, 96.5, The Fan Traffic.
Chiefs fans, it's George Karlaftis. Welcome to The Drive with Carrington Harrison on your home for Chiefs football. 96.5 The Fan.
Let's head to the phone lines right now to be joined by our next guest, Mark Carman, who covers the Bears for CHGO. Carm, how you doing today, my man?
C-Dot, I'm doing great. Appreciate you being on the old CHGO Bears podcast earlier today. You were very popular with Bears fans, except for the ones that were a little bit annoyed at your trolling of the Bears, but I thought it was very funny for the record.
You trolled me multiple times about Kansas City. You think I was going to come on there, let you get your jokes off, and I just wasn't going to fire something back? I got to say something.
No, absolutely. I do think you threw the first salvo. I think you got it out there, but then I just reminded you that, of course, the Bears are starting their dynasty now with Joe Thuney, and you guys, you had your run, and it was a great run, but, now you just got to look back and think about the good times.
You know what? Let's put our swords down, and let's talk about this from the Bears' perspective. I imagine that this trade is met with overwhelming positivity in Chicago.
It is, and look, the Bears had one of the worst offensive lines in the NFL last year. Caleb was sacked 68 times. Let's be clear, some of that was on Caleb. He definitely held it too long. But the Bears needed a boost, and a big-time boost. But more so than anything else, the Bears have massively lacked leadership. The general manager went on the radio and talked about how the quarterback needs to learn how to be a pro. Multiple players all over that locker room. We need to start to learn to do things the right way. So, Joe's going to help that in a huge way. There's actually someone they can look to who's been there and done that, and the Bears just haven't had it.
Right now, we're talking to Mark Carman, who covers the Bears for CHGO. They have traded for Joe Thuney. They have traded a 2026 fourth-round pick. How is the compensation being met in Kansas City? There is certainly a portion of Chiefs fans that feel like they didn't get enough back for Joe Thuney for the kind of player that he is. But with the contract that's attached to him, you were never going to get top dollar for the player. How is the compensation being met in Chicago for this deal?
People are looking at it like basically it's a steal. It's not a fourth-round pick this year. It's a fourth-round pick in 2026. Bears fans look at it like a huge need, 4th-round pick, not this year. Absolute great job by Ryan Poles. But to your point, like, look, you weren't going to have to give up a 2nd-round pick to get Joe Thuney. Like, that's ridiculous. It would have been an absolutely horrendous trade. So, I mean, Ryan Poles he loves giving up draft picks for players of all really ages at this point. I mean, he did it for Chase Claypool. That was horrible. A low 2nd-round pick, brutal. They traded a 2nd-round pick to get Montez Sweat. Was great the second half of the year when they had him, but did not perform well last year. Got injured, and here he's doing it again. This one feels, I think, is being received the best of any of the deals. Well, the Sweat deal's right up there with it, but people really love this trade.
I think Bears fans have to be really optimistic about this. This offseason has gone almost exactly as you would have pictured it. You got the exact coach that you wanted to come in with Caleb Williams. The offensive line has been an issue. You've made 2 big moves to try to shore up that offensive line. And now with your 1st-round pick, you can go in just about any direction that you want. If you want to take another offensive lineman, great. If you want to take a wide receiver, great. If you want to move back in the draft a little bit to get some more assets and get some more value for yourself. I feel like how aggressive they've been before free agency has really started has really set them up that they can go in just about whatever direction they want in April.
Yeah, no doubt. And the way this whole thing started, the Bears clearly wanted Ben Johnson, and a lot of people thought that Ben Johnson was going to end up in Jacksonville. That was a big-time rumor at one point. Literally anywhere other than Chicago, and people didn't think the Bears were going to step up and pay what turned out to be $13 million a year to bring the top guy here. But they did it, and he wanted to be in Chicago because obviously he looks at Caleb as somebody that he thinks can be great. So that starts the offseason couldn't have gone better. And to where we are today, you're exactly right. The Bears have a lot more flexibility. They've got the 10th pick in the draft. They've got the 39th pick. They've got 41. So 3 in the top 41. And now you can have a legit conversation. Do you want to take Ashton Genty if he gets to 10, which a lot of people think he won't be there? But a player like that, you can actually make a reasonable argument that you can take someone like that because you have protection now in front of him.
That is our guy, Mark Carman, joining us on the show today to get the Chicago reaction to Joe Thuney being traded to the Chicago Bears. The Bears have acquired the All-Pro guard. They have gave up a 2026 4th-round pick. Carm, before I get you out of here, you know what I'm going to ask you next. Give me one Michael Jordan story. Give me one Michael Jordan fact. Give me something about his airness.
So it's always a pleasure to be able to talk about the greatest player of all time. Let me just tell you when I first knew. Before, there's this debate that seems to be going on. There's some guy out in L.A., and people are still trying to figure it out. Game 1 of his 3rd season, Carrington, after he had the 63 in the Garden. The Bulls were on the road at the Knicks. Doug Collins was the first-year head coach, Game 1. Mike's coming back. Are you sure the foot's okay? I remember being at the great Rob Ginsburg's bar mitzvah, and I went up to somebody. I believe the bartender was working because Jewish kids, 13 years old. We had kitty cocktails back then. And I asked him, hey, did the Bulls win? And the answer was, yeah, Jordan had 50. And it was at that moment, Carrington, that I knew that he would be the greatest player to ever play anything. And young Carm was dead spot on right, and it holds to this day, and will forever hold, damn it. So there's your MJ for today.
That is Mark Carman joining us on the show today. Carm, I appreciate you, man.
Carrington, you're the best. Appreciate you, brother.
Absolutely. That is Mark Carman joining us on the show today. Just wanted to get his reaction to this. If you are a Bears fan, this trade is a overwhelming positive for you. You have a quarterback on a rookie deal. You have a franchise that feels like it has been stuck in neutral for the last handful of years. If I'm a fan of an organization like that, I don't want to talk about cap space right now. I want to talk about how we close the gap between Minnesota and Detroit, and how do we get to a place where we can compete, where we can win this division, and how we align ourselves to potentially compete for a Super Bowl. And you have spent the investment on the quarterback. You're not going to get the most out of your quarterback if he gets sacked 68 times the way that he did last season. So they had to go about shoring up that offensive line. You have done that this offseason. You have made 2 very good trades to go do it. Now it's at guard. It's not at tackle. But You've spent draft picks on tackle the last couple of years. The Bears, for the second year in a row, they are going to be a very popular, very trendy wild card pick. They're going to be a very popular, very trendy playoff team. I like the moves that they have made so far. I like this addition to go out and get Joe Thuney for a future fourth-round pick. You got a quarterback on a rookie deal. You can absorb this contract. I would give Joe Thuney a 2-year extension. You lock yourself in where by the time you got to pay Caleb Williams, that extension is starting to run out, and then you make your decision from there. I think this is a really smart, necessary move for the Chicago Bears. Let's reset the top story of the day coming up at the top of the hour. The Kansas City Chiefs have made the decision to move on from Joe Thuney. He is now the newest member of the Bears. We'll talk about it next. Keep it right here. It's The Drive.
The Drive with Carrington Harrison.
This man was a bona fide scrub.
On 96.5 The Fan, brought to you by DM Injury Law. Have you or a loved one been in a car wreck? Contact DM Injury Law today and get the money you deserve. Car wreck? Remember, Mike's got this. Here's traffic, brought to you by DM Injury Law. Have you or a loved one been in a car wreck? Contact DM Injury Law today and get the money you deserve. Car wreck? Remember, Mike's got this.
Still looking at a stalled car, northbound 435 to 70 westbound, stopping traffic. North Kansas City, southbound 435, right at 210 highway. There's another stalled car, but that has moved off to the right shoulder. I'm Lori Pearson, 96.5, The Fan Traffic.
Someone had a birthday.
Yep, 50. Can't believe it.
50 years of wisdom.
Great segue. We have health news, a CDC update.
Pneumococcal vaccination is now recommended for adults 50 or older. Says here, we're over 6 times more likely to be hospitalized with pneumococcal pneumonia than adults under 50.
I don't love those odds.
Same. Look what I found. Pfizer's Prevnar 20 is proven to help protect adults against pneumococcal pneumonia and invasive pneumococcal disease in just 1 dose. And millions have already gotten it.
Continued approval may depend on a supportive study. Don't get Prevnar 20 if you have a severe allergy to its ingredients. A weakened immune system may lower your response. Common side effects include injection site pain and swelling, fatigue, headache, muscle, and joint pain. For full prescribing information, please call 1-855-213-2138. Visit Prevnar20.com or talk to your doctor or pharmacist.
I'm on Prevnar20.com now, scheduling my appointment.
Good idea. And happy 50th.
This report is brought to you by Care Now Urgent Care. Find one near you at carenow.com.
Care Now Urgent Care has 15 Kansas City area locations open 7 days a week. From injuries and illnesses to school and sports physicals, Care Now Urgent Care is here to help you feel better fast. Find a location near you at carenow.com and use our convenient web check-in today.
Hello, I am fabulous.
Oh, you mean like Kansas Lottery's Fabulous Fortune Instant Ticket Fabulous?
I mean like I speak 5 languages and come from old money. Fabulous.
Oh, well, Fabulous Fortune can lay some new money on you. 4 chances at $500,000 to be exact.
Talk more.
Fabulous Fortune also gives you a second chance at $500,000 with the Play On app.
I think I've been out fabulous.
Really?
No.
Okay, play Fabulous Fortune. See KSLottery.com for details.
Some things just go together, like peanut butter and jelly, or a Casey's spicy chicken sandwich and a 49-cent medium fountain drink, or a Casey's breakfast sandwich and a 49-cent fountain drink, or even Casey's limited time Italian deli sliders and a 49-cent fountain drink. You get the idea. It's not crazy. It's Casey's. See store for details.
Call Aspen Lawn and Pest Control. Our iconic blue trucks and expert team get it right the first time. Award-winning full-service lawn care and pest control since 1985. Call today for a free estimate. Visit aspenlawn.com.
Hey, it's Rex here with RexBuysKC.com, your local KC home buyer. If you own a property in the Kansas City or surrounding area and want to sell it fast and at a fair price, write this number down, 816-330-6000. I'm a private real estate investor, not some hedge fund or large national chain. My family and I live right here in KC. I can pay cash and close on your timeline, even in as little as 3 days. Here at RexBuysKC.com, we're improving Kansas City one house at a time. I buy inherited houses, vacant houses, foreclosure houses, behind in payment houses, my tenant won't pay the rent houses, and properties that need complete rehabs. Do you own a house that's trashed and needs thousands of dollars in repairs? Great. If you own a house and want to sell it fast, call me at this number, 816-330-6000. That's 816-330-6000, or go to RexBuysKC.com. That's RexBuysKC.com, and I look forward to working with you.
Buckle up and hang on. This is
going to be a good one.
The fans of Kansas Speedway know how to have a good time. One that celebrates fantastic finishes.
Crash together, so close.
And family-friendly facilities. Trading paint.
We got feuding.
And tailgating tradition. Burnouts. Beer. And barbecue. Oh, it'll for sure be a good time. And you are all invited. NASCAR weekend at Kansas Speedway, May 9th through the 11th. Get your tickets now at kansasspeedway.com.
Royals coverage sponsored by Braden's Hope for Childhood Cancer and Jersey Mike's Month of Giving.
Join us in supporting Braden's Hope for Childhood Cancer and Jersey Mike's Month of Giving. Visit any Casey, Topeka, or Lawrence Jersey Mike's and donate. You can also donate through the Jersey Mike's app. Help the fight against childhood cancer with Braden's Hope and Jersey Mike's.
Subscribe to our YouTube channel and watch all the shows from your phone, desktop, or tablet. Your home for Kansas City sports. 96.5 The Fan, KFNC FM and AM, HD1 and HD2 Kansas City, an Odyssey sports station.
Let's get back into the top story of the day in Kansas City. The top story is that the Chiefs have traded Joe Thuney to the Chicago Bears. They have traded him for a 2026 fourth-round pick. Let's get you the latest from Ian Rappaport of NFL Network to give you all the details of the move.
We do have a major trade for the Kansas City Chiefs and the Chicago Bears. Once again, the Bears load up on the offensive line. Earlier this week, it was Jonah Jackson. This time, a big one. Sources say all-pro guard Joe Thuney, one of the best in the NFL, of course, played tackle this year in a pinch, but is a big-time guard, is expected to be traded to the Chicago Bears. This deal, of course, cannot be final until the start of the league year. If you look at what Kansas City is doing, they're already paying Creed Humphrey. They obviously are going to pay Trey Smith. They need to free up some space. Joe Thuney ends up going, I would say, similar to the Tyreek Hill trade a couple years back, a player about to get a third contract. They move on, get a little younger, free up some space. For the Chicago Bears, nothing is more important than protecting Caleb Williams. They now have one of the best in the NFL to do it.
Let's look at this trade from both sides, because very similar to the Deebo Samuel trade that happened earlier in the week, this is a trade that, for me, makes a lot of sense on both sides. Let's start with Kansas City and how I think this is a positive trade for them. Well, let me amend it just a little bit. How it can be. Because right now, the Chiefs don't have anything tangible where the Bears do. The Bears have the player. You can go on the internet, type it in, and see what Joe Thuney has done and accomplished in his career. You cannot do that with what Kansas City has acquired in this deal. So I think that's a very important part of the conversation, is that one team got a tangible physical good that you can touch. The other team has the blueprints to a plan. So let's start with Kansas City. You got the draft pick compensation. I don't think the draft pick compensation is that great, but I also think that the trade asset isn't really that great. I think Joe Thuney is a phenomenal player. But let's do the say it out loud test for who and what Joe Thuney is. He is a 33-year-old left guard in need of a new contract. I am here telling you that that player doesn't yield you big dividends in a trade. You don't get a second-round pick for that player. We're not talking about a 27-year-old speedster wide receiver. We're not talking about you're trading for a Max Crosby, just dynamite edge rusher. Yeah, that's going to get you back a significant trade piece. Well, you're talking about a 33-year-old left guard in search of a new contract. You got pretty close to what the value for that player is. It is important to note, and we'll talk more about the Chicago portion of this is, I don't know if there is a team in the NFL that is more desperate to shore up their offensive line than the Chicago Bears. I do not think that there is another offer that was out there that the Rams offered you something or San Francisco offered something and they decided to go with the Bears offer. No, this was the best offer that was there. We're going to trade you a future fourth-round pick, and now we're going to turn around and have to negotiate a new deal with this player. He's already been making significant amount of money. He had a $26.9 million cap hit. He is coming off a season in which he has shown that he can play left tackle in a pinch. We know he can play left guard at an all-pro, Pro Bowl caliber level. He can play any position on this offensive line that we need him to. That guy is not going to come cheap, at least not from a salary cap contract perspective. He might have came cheap in the trade, but now you got to negotiate another deal with him. So if you're Kansas City, the draft pick compensation is not the kicker to me. It is now what you do with the $16 million, and you can do what you want with it. If you want to use that money towards now paying off Trey Smith, if you want to use that money to shore up the left tackle position, if you want to use that to extend your all-pro corner, if you want to use this to try to go find a pass rusher since you're losing Charles Omenihu, it's your $16 million in cap space. Do what you want with it. There are also other moves that are potentially available. You could do something about Travis Kelce's contract. You can reach an agreement with Trey Smith that would give you some salary cap space. You can restructure Patrick Mahomes' deal to create more salary cap space. The Chiefs can become major players in free agency if they really want to. That was going to be really difficult if you had allocated $50.1 million to left guard and right guard. That's not where you want your resources tied up into. We're not talking about left tackle and right tackle. We are talking about left guard and right guard, and they had $50 million. Get this, the salary cap is $252 million. They were going to have a seventh of their salary cap tied up into their left guard and right guard. That is not a great allocation of funds. So now you move on from that. If you're the Kansas City Chiefs, let's now see what they do with the asset. You have the pick. Let's see who you turn that pick into. You have the salary cap space. Let's see what you do with the salary cap space. For the Bears, it's very simple to me. This was the best offensive lineman that you could possibly get if you were the Chicago Bears. If you weren't going to be in a position to get Trey Smith because he got franchise tagged by the Chiefs and you were in the market of trying to get a sure thing on your offensive line, there is not a more sure thing that is available than Joe Thuney. I think that Joe Thuney is one of the 10 best offensive linemen in the NFL, regardless of position. When you look at his reliability, a guy who's only missed 2 starts in his NFL career, when you look at his track record, playing for the New England Patriots, winning championships, coming to Kansas City, winning championships, when you look at his versatility, his ability to play left guard and also step out and play left tackle, in my opinion, he is one of the 10 best offensive linemen in the league, and the Bears just acquired him for a future 4th-round pick. Now, picking up a player like that is not going to be cheap, but you're a team with a quarterback on a rookie contract. You also have some of the most cap space available, and if you need to shore up the offensive line, the fastest way to do it is to pay for it. It's not to draft and develop and wait. I mean, that's a great way to do it. But if you were looking for a get-rich-quick scheme, the fastest place to do that in the NFL is on the offensive line. You go pay for it. You go trade for it. You try to find it, and that is what the Chicago Bears did. I think this trade works for both sides for very different reasons. And what the Chiefs need and what the Bears need are different. The Bears are trying to figure out if they have a franchise quarterback or not. You spent a significant resource to go get Caleb Williams, and now you got to put the infrastructure around him. The Bears spent so much resources last season in putting running backs and wide receivers and tight ends around him that they forgot to block for Caleb Williams. He got sacked 68 times last season. I mean, you don't got to be a math whiz to figure that out. It's about 4 times a night your quarterback gets sacked. That's not adding up hits. That's not adding up tackles. That is just your quarterback getting sacked, turning in those negative plays. You can't make the playoffs like that if you're the Chicago Bears. So I think this trade works for both sides. I'm not willing to declare a winner or loser of the trade. I find it hard to believe that the Bears can be a loser in this trade just because of what they've acquired. But I think we are going to see if the Chiefs can also become winners in this trade. What do they do with the 4th-round pick? What do they do with the available cap space? How do they go about spending the available cap space? One way that they could potentially win this trade is by investing heavily in left tackle. Here is Nate Taylor, who covers the Kansas City Chiefs for The Athletic. He believes that the Chiefs are going to make a play for Ronnie Stanley.
They're going to try to sign Ronnie Stanley. Let's just put it out there.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
This is it.
Yes.
This is it, kids. Cam Robinson, get out my face. This is an all-in move, and that isn't to say that this is going to work necessarily. Ronnie Stanley could obviously go back to Baltimore. Baltimore now knows this.
I think it is pretty clear what the Chiefs have identified as their biggest need. Their biggest need is left tackle. And you needed to shore up cap space in order to go find said left tackle. It was going to be very difficult to do that without either reaching an extension with Joe Thuney, trading Joe Thuney, while also still being in the franchise tag scenario with Trey Smith. His long-term contract is not coming anytime soon. They are not reaching a long-term extension with Trey Smith in the next week or so. And as the league year is about to start, and you're going to need to shore up some cap space and make moves and be able to supplement the roster, you had to create that money from somewhere if you want to take a very serious swing at left tackle. Now, we'll see who the left tackles are. We know the veteran options for Kansas City potentially. It's your Cam Robinson. It's your Tyron Smith. It's your Donovan Smith. It's your DJ Humphries. I would say those are the veteran one-year stopgaps. If you want to go veteran one-year Band-Aid approach, those are going to be your names. Cam Robinson, Tyron Smith, Donovan Smith, DJ Humphries. Probably going to cost you somewhere between 1 year, $8 million base up to $12 million. You figure it out with incentives to come up with a scenario that incentivizes the player to stay healthy and play well and also gives you some salary cap relief. Or the Chiefs could potentially swing big at left tackle. There's only two swing big options that are out there. It's Ronnie Stanley and Dan Moore Jr. from the Pittsburgh Steelers. There are no other swing big options. There's no swing big option this year in the NFL draft. There's no sure thing. There's no Tristan Wirfs. There's no Rashawn Slater. There's no John Alt. There's not that prospect at left tackle that everybody loves and everybody believes in this season. So it's either going to cost, I would say, time, investment, you trying to figure out the position, or I would say a little bit of luck. You can sign Tyron Smith. He's an aging left tackle. It's a Band-Aid approach, and you better hope like hell that he can stay healthy. You better do the same thing for Donovan Smith, who didn't play last year. You better do the same thing for DJ Humphries, who essentially didn't play. I don't think that there is any great options for the Chiefs at left tackle. There are viable options. I don't think that there are any great options for Kansas City at left tackle. Now that you have the equipped cap space to be able to go out and find your solution, now is the waiting part. What do the Chiefs see as their most important need? How do they fill their most important need? I think you do this with the understanding that we have to create some cap space for our left tackle. And if you're going to start Kingsley Suamataia at left guard, you're probably going to need to be solidified at right tackle. They don't have a left tackle on the roster right now. If your plan is to put Kingsley at left guard, which I believe it is, now you have virtually zero option currently on your roster at left tackle. So it is not a question of if they are going to go to the market. It is a when and who are they going to sign. We've given you the names. We'll talk more about those names coming up on the other side. And Rob, I want to do a quick exercise. So if I give you a pie chart, and we agree there's three options. There is, I would say, big swing, home run swing, veteran stopgap option, and rookie. I want us to divvy it up and what percentage you think the Chiefs are going to go with any of those three options. We'll do that next, plus we'll read your text, 913-586-7965. The Chiefs have made a trade. They have traded Joe Thuney for the Bears for a 2026 fourth-round pick. Keep it right here, so Drive.
The Drive with Carrington Harrison on your home for Kansas City sports. 96.5, The Fan. Brought to you by DM Injury Law. Have you or a loved one been in a car wreck? Contact DM Injury Law today and get the money you deserve. Car wreck? Remember, Mike's got this.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit porky, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou at 800-700-6898. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term Provider has helped thousands of people like you who think they can't afford term life insurance. To buy $1 million of affordable term life for you, all you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-700-6898. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-700-6898. 800-700-6898. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too. Call 800-700-6898. 800-700-6898 or biglou.com.
Huge news. Right now at Wendy's, you can get a Son of Baconator for just $3. I don't think you understand this situation. The Son of Baconator is only $3 for a limited time. You know, smoked bacon, rich melted cheese. That Son of Baconator is only $3. Thank you to whoever wished upon that star. For bacon that just won't quit, gotta be Wendy's.
U.S. price and participation may vary. Prices may be higher in Alaska and Hawaii, not valid on a combo or in third-party delivery platforms.
This is the story of the one. He's responsible for keeping a leading healthcare facility clean and safe. And he trusts Grainger's high-quality HVAC cleaning and safety products, combined with their world-class supply chain, to consistently deliver, ensuring he's covered inside and out, so he can focus on keeping his facility clean to help protect the health of everyone inside. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
And Doug. Quickly, Moo. We don't have much time. This Liberty ad is already almost over. We only have a few precious seconds to remind people to customize their car insurance and save hundreds with Liberty Mutual. Okay. Well, I guess we had more time than I thought.
Only pay for what you need at libertymutual.com.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
Savings vary. Underwritten by Liberty Mutual Insurance Company and affiliates. Excludes Massachusetts.
Want a golf course quality lawn? It's easier and more affordable than you think with TruGreen. As the official lawn care treatment provider of the PGA Tour, TruGreen brings pro-level expertise straight to your yard, so your lawn can look like a fairway. Right now, you can sign up and get one free application. Plus, with their price match guarantee, you know you're getting the best value. And if you're not satisfied, TruGreen will come back to make it right. Don't wait. Visit TruGreen.com today to get a free application and let the pros handle your lawn while you enjoy the results. Offer ends March 10th. Restrictions apply.
This is the story of the one. As a quality technician in a food processing center, she knows that making the right call is the best way to avoid a recall. That's why she trusts Grainger's world-class supply chain to deliver the high-quality supplies she needs to help keep her production line, her equipment, and her customers happy and healthy. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
This is the story of the one. He's responsible for keeping a leading healthcare facility clean and safe. And he trusts Grainger's high-quality HVAC cleaning and safety products, combined with their world-class supply chain, to consistently deliver, ensuring he's covered inside and out, so he can focus on keeping his facility clean to help protect the health of everyone inside. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
All right, when it comes to getting life insurance for your family, a lot of excuses can get in the way. But ask yourself this: if something were to happen to me, who would pay the mortgage, the kids' education, and the other bills? Then forget the excuses and check out Ethos Life, the online, easy way to get life insurance in 10 minutes. Ethos has rates that you can afford, like a $500,000 policy for a 40-year-old male starting at $1 a day or $30 a month, with a few health questions and no medical exam. Get your free quote right now at checkethos.com. That's checkethos.com. Not available in all states. Rates do vary.
Huge news. Right now at Wendy's, you can get a Son of Baconator for just $3. I don't think you understand this situation. The Son of Baconator is only $3 for a limited time. You know, smoked bacon, rich melted cheese. That Son of Baconator is only $3. Thank you to whoever wished upon that star. For bacon that just won't quit, gotta be Wendy's.
U.S. price and participation may vary. Prices may be higher in Alaska and Hawaii, not valid on a combo or in third-party delivery platforms.
Clear conditions are expected tonight with a low of 28.
Weather brought to you by Robert Half. Robert Half's recruiting professionals use their award-winning AI to connect businesses with highly skilled talent. Learn more at roberthalf.com/talent today.
Royals coverage sponsored by Park & Go, the best deals on airport parking.
Spring break travel plans? Park & Go makes airport parking easy. Open 24/7 with all covered spots. Rain or shine, your car's protected. Reserve now at bookparkandgo.com. Park & Go, family owned, customer approved.
Here's traffic, brought to you by DM Injury Law. Have you or a loved one been in a car wreck? Contact DM Injury Law today and get the money you deserve. Car wreck? Remember, Mike's got this.
Looking at a two-car crash on the northern side of the metro, southbound 29, just past 169 highway. That is on the shoulder, though. And a couple of stalled cars eastbound 435, just past 69 highway. I'm Lori Pearson, 96.5 The Fan Traffic.
You're listening to 96.5 The Fan from the Mission Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling Studios.
Chiefs fans, it's Trent McDuffie. Welcome to The Drive with C-Dot on your home for Chiefs football. 96.5 The Fan.
Welcome back to The Drive on 96.5 The Fan, 96.5thefan.com, and also the Odyssey app. Very happy to be here with you today. All right, Rob. This is the exercise I would like for us to do. I would say that there is a pie chart right now of options for the Chiefs. One option is, I would say, home run swing. Now, I am considering a home run swing to be signing a veteran left tackle to at least a 3 or 4 year contract. I don't think that there are a lot of viable options for that player. I think there are realistically two. I think one is Ronnie Stanley, and Nate believes that that's the Chiefs' number one target is Ronnie Stanley.
They're going to try to sign Ronnie Stanley. Let's just put it out there.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
This is it.
Yes.
This is it, kids. Cam Robinson, get out my face. This is an all-in move, and that isn't to say that this is going to work necessarily. Ronnie Stanley could obviously go back to Baltimore. Baltimore now knows this.
So Ronnie Stanley is one, and the other one is Dan Moore Jr. Now, for those of you that don't know who Dan Moore Jr. is, he has been the left tackle for the Pittsburgh Steelers for the last handful of years. In my opinion, the best way to describe him is he is Jawan Taylor, but left tackle. I think Jawan Taylor is fine. I think the penalties are a problem, but I think for the most part, he's fine. To give you an example, last year on Pro Football Focus, there were 141 tackles who were graded. Dan Moore Jr. was 46th. He's fine. When it came to pass blocking, he was 65th. He was 67th in run blocking. He is an above average left tackle. Now, what does a contract for Dan Moore look like? We agree in a year in which there's not a lot of free agent options and the draft isn't great, somebody gets desperate enough and throws a lot of money at that player, kind of like what the Chiefs did for Jawan Taylor. So those are the options. If you look at left tackle is, I don't care the price, I need to come away with the left tackle, those are your two options. If you were looking at the veteran 1 year stopgap, the Band-Aid approach, you have a handful of names. They also could draft a left tackle. They drafted Kingsley Suamataia. They could draft a left tackle. Rob, let's go through. Give me your pie chart for, let's call it home run swing, stopgap, and then we'll go rookie. So that could be a rookie in the first round. That could be trying to find another Wanye Morris, Kingsley Suamataia. You try again in the mid-rounds. Give me home run swing, stopgap, and rookie.
And this is to start at left tackle.
Week 1.
Okay. It is 80% big swing, 20% stopgap, 0% rookie. I think, listen, Nate Taylor is as sourced as anyone in the business. When he says the reason they did this is they're an all-in move, I think finally Brett Veach is either A, listening to the show, and thank you, Brett, or 2, has just come to the conclusion I have. We can't keep band-aiding left tackle. We can't keep having Donovan Smith types. We can't keep having DJ Humphrey types. We can't keep, hey, 1 year veteran, let's see if he's got something type of deal. There are positions on the football field you can do that. They did that with linebacker and Drew Tranquill. I know they re-signed him after that, but they've done that. You can do that at other positions. You really can't do it at left tackle because it's not every year in free agency that quality just fill the gap guy is available. I think he's going to take a big swing to find a big-time piece that he can lock in over there for 2, 3, 4 years. Maybe that's Dan Moore. Maybe that's Ronnie Stanley. I don't know. Maybe it's a trade. But I think it's big swing is the overwhelming majority, and then stopgap if the big swing falls through, because I do not believe there is a rookie who is left tackle quality starter week 1 in this draft, period. And I definitely do not believe that is an option at 31 for the Chiefs, 80-20-0.
All right. This is, I guess, the only reason I'll push back on the home run swing being so high is, don't the Ravens have a say in this? Like, the Ravens have a say in this. Now, I'm not saying he is the same kind of player, but I am going to guess that if we could go back in time, there were fan bases that were discussing Chris Jones like he was on the way. Right? Chris Jones was about to hit free agency. Oh, man, we're about to get the best defensive tackle that's out there. He's going to come and be a game record. He ended up going back to Kansas City. And now you're sitting there like, oh, wait, well, now what do? We thought we had a chance at getting Chris Jones. We really wanted Chris Jones, and now we don't have him. Doesn't it kind of feel like that's what we're now doing with Ronnie Stanley? Oh, wait, hey, there's this left tackle. He had 17 starts last year. He's been a starter for the last 9 years. Hey, the moment hit free agency, he's ours. I mean, the Ravens could keep their left tackle, right? They could just determine, well, we want our left tackle. Hey, we're willing to pay it. So I'm going to go like this. I'm going to go 60% home run swing, because if they don't get Ronnie Stanley, I don't think that there is another home run swing that's out there.
So you don't count Dan Moore as a home run swing. I guess maybe that's where I view it differently. A guy who's 27, I guess he might be 26, who's that age and has starting experience left tackle, I would consider that a home run, and what it's going to cost is going to feel more home run-ish than Donovan Smith.
You can mark this tape right now. If they cleared the amount of cap space, if they cleared the $16 million that they just got for Joe Thuney to give it to Dan Moore, they are worse on the offensive line than if they just would have restructured Joe Thuney and signed DJ Humphries for next season. Dan Moore is Jawan Taylor. He is a fine offensive player. One of the reasons why the Chiefs are in this problem is that they overpaid Jawan Taylor, thinking that he could play left tackle for them. They then realized that they were wrong and then kept him at right tackle. And now you have one of the worst second contracts in the league on your team. It's a bad contract for Kansas City. So if you don't go get Ronnie Stanley, I just don't really know if there's another home run swing that's out there. I much rather you go get a 1-year stopgap. I much rather you have Cam Robinson on a 1-year deal than sign Dan Moore for the next 3 years. I'd rather you just, all right, hey, we took a big swing at this, but instead of locking our resources up for 2026 and 2027 and potentially creating another problem, why don't we just sign Cam Robinson for this year, and then in 2026, we will have no dead cap space from Joe Thuney. We'll have our cap space from Cam Robinson now becoming a free agent, and now we can take that and we can go get our asset, and maybe there is another left tackle that's out there, or it ends up being a better left tackle class. I don't want, because you're so desperate for left tackle, I don't want you to be in a position where now you pay 120 cents on the dollar for a player that you should have spent 50 cents on. And that's what paying Dan Moore sounds like to me. It sounds to me like you are pressed, and that's usually what bad teams do in free agency. Oh, we desperately need this thing. Let's just try to fix it in free agency and let's spend the money. No, that's not what good organizations do. So if you don't go get Ronnie Stanley, and I'm not wild about Ronnie Stanley given his injury history, and we can talk about it, if you're not going to go in that direction, I'd much rather you go 1-year stopgap. So I'm going to go 60% home run. I'm going to go 40% stopgap. I don't think they are starting a rookie next season at left tackle. I don't think that they are going to go from having Joe Thuney on the left side and thinking you were going to have a rookie at left tackle to now you're going to have Kingsley Suamataia at left guard, and now you're going to have another young guy. Like, you went from very experienced, obviously, on the left side of your offensive line. You're now about to have maybe the most inexperienced left side of the offensive line in the entire National Football League. A guy who has made 0 starts at left tackle, and then a guy who has made, 3 NFL starts, and one of them was Week 18 against the Broncos that I'm not really sure if that even counts as a start. That's going to be the left side of your offensive line, and you're going to tell me that was the best you could do this offseason? I mean, I guess. So I'm going to go with 0 on a rookie starting. Now, could they draft a rookie and have him as a developmental piece behind the stopgap? Sure, but I would be surprised if they started a rookie. I don't even know who that rookie could even potentially be for them that they think in this draft class could be a day one starter on a team of this magnitude.
Yeah, I don't. We talk about left tackle free agency not being great, and it's flawed players. Left tackle draft might be worse this year. Like, I know the text line has, affinity for second and third round guys. There's a guy from William and Mary who's someone that a texter keeps texting in about. That guy is not your starter at all for the Kansas City Chiefs next year.
If you're telling me that the starter for the Kansas City Chiefs at left tackle played for William and Mary last year, boy.
They're light years worse.
Yeah, I'm just, oh boy. Oh boy. Oh boy. That's bad. That is a really, really bad plan if that's what their plan is at the position. It is a terrible plan if that's what they plan on doing. We're off a little bit earlier today because of K-State basketball. This is actually the last time that we think K-State is going to preempt the show. So I guess
we don't really know how the Big 12
we'll see how the Big 12 tournament shapes out.
But you shouldn't have said nothing. We just lost the show because of you.
My bad. Let me go ahead and knock on that wood. Let me knock on wood. My apologies.
It's about to be K-State, Colorado on this station because of you. Hope you're happy.
Let me play for you guys what Travis Kelce had to say. He was on the New Heights podcast, and he was explaining to his brother why he made the decision to come back.
The biggest thing is that I love playing the game of football.
That's a good reason.
I love playing. I still feel like I could play it at a high level and possibly at a higher level than I did last year. I don't think it was my best outing. I let my guys down in a lot more moments than I helped them, especially if you look at my track record and how I've been in years past. I want to give it a good run. I got a bad taste in my mouth on how I ended the year and how well I was playing and, how accountable I was for the people around me. And I love so many people in Kansas City, both in that facility, in the community. It's home for me now. I don't want to leave that life yet. I put in a lot of hard work and I put in a lot of, focus into being the best that I can for KC. Last year, it just, it didn't end well for us. I feel like there's a responsibility in me to play out the contract that I initially signed, to give Kansas City and the Chiefs organization everything that I got. And that's what I'm going to do, man.
I hear what you're saying. I think, it's hard losing a Super Bowl. You feel like there's so many things you could have done better or whatnot. Don't lose sight of the big reason that you guys are there is because of who you are. You know what I mean? I know you're going to be dedicated like you always are.
Kansas City, baby. We're back at it for at least one more year. I can't say whether or not this is going to be the last year because I still love a lot of what I do for the city of Kansas City and the Chiefs organization. So I know I got one on my contract. I'm going to give you guys everything I got, baby.
That is Travis Kelce on the New Heights podcast earlier today explaining why he is coming back. I am happy that Travis Kelce is coming back. I think that Travis Kelce should come back. If you still got the love of playing football in your heart, then I want you to pursue it. There is no coming back. So if you still love it and you still can go out there and dedicate your mind and body and spirit to it, then I highly encourage you to keep playing because when it's gone, it's gone. When your run is over, it is over, and you are certainly coming to the end of your run. I don't want to spend too much time debating on whether or not this is the end of Travis Kelce's career, if this year is going to be the final year. I guess all I would say related to that is the only scenario I'd be open for Travis Kelce coming back in 2027 is with a pay cut, a significant pay cut. If his career is trending the way that it has been trending, and he is clearly on the back nine of his career, you ain't making 16-point-something million to play on my football team in 2027. No, thank you. You are not making that much money to play on this team. So I don't know what that means for you. I obviously don't want to see Travis Kelce go play in another uniform. I don't think he would go play in another uniform. I think he would retire in that scenario. I also understand why you don't want to announce before the season that this is your last season of playing. I get that. So again, I don't want to go back and forth on, is this the last year? Is this not the last year? But I don't really see a scenario in which Travis Kelce plays another year for the Chiefs if it's anything close to the contract that he is making. I think we identify that the Chiefs gave him a raise because he's Travis Kelce. That usually teams don't offer up money unprompted to a guy at that stage in his career. That was the we love you and we appreciate you tax. You are now paying the we love you and appreciate you tax. We all want you to come back for this last year. Hey, have a great year. Taylor comes to the games. You swap some jerseys with everybody. You get one more year of spending time with Patrick Mahomes. Hey, I'm all for it this season. After this season with Travis Kelce, we got to start treating you like a regular football player. Your contract is up. Are we going to negotiate a new deal with you? Are you expecting to make the exact same amount of money that you've made before, but you're not the same kind of player? You're a declining player. You're now 36 years old. Like, those are just conversations I don't really want to have with Travis Kelce. I don't think we're going to get to this point. I think that Kelce's going to play out this final year of his deal, and I don't think he's coming back, because then I would say you would get to the point where it is not financially responsible for you to keep playing football anymore. If you're going to play football past this season, I don't care what team you're going to. You make more money doing other things than playing football on the contract that you would get on your final year next season, whether that's in Kansas City or you going to another random organization. I do believe that this is Kelce's last year in Kansas City, and it should be his last year in Kansas City.
I know that he said, we'll see. I don't want to announce my final season. I'd have to really look back at every podcast I did. That sounded a lot like what Jason Kelce was talking like heading into his last season. Remember, Jason Kelce had lost the Super Bowl, and it was to the Chiefs, and he was like, I'm coming back. It wasn't, I'm coming back for a last ride. He wasn't doing some last hurrah. He was like, I'm coming back. There's still more football to be played. That was the sentiment around Jason Kelce. And then you saw at the end of his season after that, when he came back, you knew it was over. You knew it was over in Philadelphia, and you knew it was likely over, period, for Jason Kelce. That's kind of how I feel it's going to happen for Travis. I'm not announcing this is my final season, but we all kind of feel like it's his final season. At the very least, I think it's his final season in Kansas City. I don't want to see him in a different jersey. You don't want to see him in a different jersey. Fans don't either, but I don't think he's coming back on the team in 2 seasons. And if he does, it's on a comically cheap, you're tight end number 2 type of contract. So I don't think that's going to happen. So I think it's him saying it without saying it. This is the Jason Kelce season, but I don't want a farewell season the way Kobe got one or the way whoever got one. He doesn't want to do that, but he's saying it without saying it. I'm done.
Yeah, man, I guess, and I'm not arguing with you about that. I think that farewell Kobe year is going to happen anyway, because all of us have the computer. Your contract is up at the end of the season. You are going to be a free agent at the end of this year. You're 30-something years old. You are in a movie that's coming out in Netflix in a couple of months. He doesn't have to tell us without us knowing that is the case. I don't think he needs to make that announcement. I want him to retire the way that he wants to retire. I don't think it's very likely that he plays 2 more seasons for the Chiefs. I think he finishes out this contract, and I think that he's done. I do want to close the show today with Joe Thuney. We'll get to that in just a bit. But before we do that, I just have one small point to make, and we'll take a break, and we'll get back to talking about football. Who has ever watched a basketball game and thought, hey, you know what? We should start doing different things with the court. Have you ever been watching a basketball game, and in the back of your mind, you were thinking, hey, what if the court was blue? Have you ever been watching a basketball game and you thought to yourself, you know what? Why don't we change it and make the court red? I've never had that thought before. The reason I'm bringing this up is, I don't know if you've seen this yet, but you certainly will see it over the next couple of days. They have done something very weird to the court for the Big 12 tournament. So right now, the women are playing on it. I don't know what kind of design that they have put together, but let me tell you, it's nonsense is what it is. It looks goofy. Why can't they just go with the regular, old-fashioned hardwood that we've been playing on since we were kids? Was there something wrong with that? I like the regular colors. Put the conference logo, put a little sponsor in the corners, put it at the free throw line, and let's go play basketball. When did we decide that we had to get decorative with the basketball courts? What was wrong with the way that we were doing it before? Football, you guys might have it right. Baseball, you guys might have it right. I don't want to be watching baseball one day and I look up and y'all got red grass you're playing on. There's nothing wrong with just having the regular green grass. Sure, I understand that Boise State plays on blue fields. Everybody doesn't need to play on blue turf. Only one team needs to play on it. That's their thing. It's cool. I don't want the Chiefs now to wake up and now they just got red grass. That's stupid. That's what basketball does. This is dumb. Let's get back to the basics. Let's get back to just having the regular old Hoosiers hardwood. That's what I would propose for basketball to do. Wait till you guys see the Big 12 court. It does not make, I don't know whose idea it was for the Big 12 court to look like the way that it does. It does not make any sense to me. Coming up on the other side, we'll wrap up our thoughts on Joe Thuney. Joe Thuney is no longer a member of the Chiefs. He is the newest member of the Chicago Bears. Keep it right here. It's The Drive.
The Drive with Carrington Harrison on your new home for Chiefs football. 96.5, The Fan, brought to you by DM Injury Law. Have you or a loved one been in a car wreck? Contact DM Injury Law today and get the money you deserve. Car wreck? Remember, Mike's got this.
Fellas, are you feeling sluggish, maybe a bit tired, or just not feeling like yourself? Maybe your workouts aren't producing the results that they used to, and you're not getting that great quality sleep. If you're noticing changes, then it could be low testosterone. Low T affects more than just your energy levels. It can impact everything from your workout performance to the intimacy in your relationship. Well, here's some great news. Heartland Men's Health is here to help you. It's simple to get started. Take a quiz at heartlandmenshealth.com to see if you might have low T. Then schedule a $99 consultation where you'll get lab work and results in just 30 minutes. And if you sign up for treatment, then your visit is free. Don't wait any longer. Feel like yourself today. Call Heartland Men's Health, your partner in better health. Call this number, 844-447-6600, or check out the website, heartlandmenshealth.com today. Heartland Men's Health, Kansas City's trusted choice for low T treatment.
Brew Brothers at Harris, Kansas City, now open. Dine on mouth-watering appetizers, then feast on one of our 6 American Wagyu burgers, including the Bacon Jam Burger and Blazing Burger. Wash it down with your favorite ice-cold beverage, all while watching the game on one of our 45 TVs. Dine in or carry out. Brew Brothers at Harris, Kansas City always hits the spot. Brew Brothers and Brew Brothers Express are now open for breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
21 or older to gamble. Know when to stop before you start. Gambling problem? Call 1-888-BETS-OFF.
From fast breaks to buzzer beaters to block parties, there's nothing as exciting as basketball. With Underdog, you can bring that excitement to wherever you watch. Playing on their app is as easy as choosing higher or lower on player stats like threes made, points, rebounds, and so much more. I love the Underdog app. So get those selections right, and you could win up to 1,000 times your money. It's so much fun. Millions of fans have won over billions on Underdog. Will you be the next? It's simple to join the fun. Join in by signing up for the Underdog app today using promo code BOB, and you'll get a free selection as part of your first cash entry, plus up to 1,000 in bonus cash when you deposit. Must be 18 plus and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org.
I had the worst dream last night. You were in a car crash, and the kids and I were on our own. We had to move out of the house because I couldn't afford it anymore.
That's awful, hon.
My brother was saying he got life insurance from Ethos. With Ethos, it only took 10 minutes, and he got $2 million in coverage for around $2 a day. It's all online. No medical exam. He just answered a few health questions right from his house.
Ethos, here we come.
Visit getethos.com. That's getethos.com.
Sample rate is a 10-year term life policy for 35-year-old healthy, non-smoking male. Billed monthly.
At Tractor Supply, we know that a winning season out here takes practice, teamwork, and a can-do attitude. Thankfully, when it comes to teamwork, it's great to have a neighbor like Tractor Supply. No matter the season, our team members are here to help. Like you, they know that nothing beats the feeling of seeing all your hard work pay off. Whether you're caring for pets, chickens, or a few acres, we have everything you need to get the most out of life out here. Season after season, Tractor Supply. For life, out here.
I'm Bob Burke, founder and chairman of Burke America Parts Group, a family of brands that includes RepairClinic.com, an appliance and HVAC parts solution company that's grown into an international brand. Before AmericanEagle.com, we partially launched a new technology platform developed by another firm. American Eagle helped take our technology to a whole new level with digital marketing, software development, and business insights into our key markets, appliances, HVAC, and outdoor power equipment, and did so both on time and on budget. AmericanEagle.com has the resources, experience, and talent needed to produce solutions. Our new technology platform, developed by AmericanEagle.com, has produced tremendous results with higher traffic, conversion, engagement, and online revenue. If you have any home repairs you need to take care of, check us out at RepairClinic.com. If you need a world-class website or technology project, then I would highly recommend AmericanEagle.com.
Call AmericanEagle.com at 773-NETWORK. That's AmericanEagle.com, 773-NETWORK.
All right, when it comes to getting life insurance for your family, a lot of excuses can get in the way. But ask yourself this. If something were to happen to me, who would pay the mortgage, the kids' education, and the other bills? Then forget the excuses and check out Ethos Life, the online, easy way to get life insurance in 10 minutes. Ethos has rates that you can afford, like a $500,000 policy for a 40-year-old male starting at $1 a day or $30 a month, with a few health questions and no medical exam. Get your free quote right now at checkethos.com. That's checkethos.com. Not available in all states. Rates do vary.
Huge news. Right now at Wendy's, you can get a Son of Baconator for just $3. I don't think you understand this situation. The Son of Baconator is only $3 for a limited time. You know, smoked bacon, rich melted cheese. That Son of Baconator is only $3. Thank you to whoever wished upon that star. For bacon that just won't quit, gotta be Wendy's.
U.S. price and participation may vary. Prices may be higher in Alaska and Hawaii, not valid on a combo or in third-party delivery platforms.
Royals coverage sponsored by Braden's Hope for Childhood Cancer and Jersey Mike's Month of Giving.
Join us in supporting Braden's Hope for Childhood Cancer and Jersey Mike's Month of Giving. Visit any Casey, Topeka, or Lawrence Jersey Mike's and donate. You can also donate through the Jersey Mike's app. Help the fight against childhood cancer with Braden's Hope and Jersey Mike's.
Here's traffic, brought to you by DM Injury Law. Have you or a loved one been in a car wreck? Contact DM Injury Law today and get the money you deserve. Car wreck? Remember, Mike's got this.
No collisions to report right now across the metro. Northbound 35 is a 14-minute drive from Parvin to KCI, and eastbound 470, 12 minutes from Raytown Road to 70. I'm Lori Pearson, 96.5 The Fan Traffic.
Welcome to your new home for Royals baseball. 96.5 The Fan.
All right, before we sign off for the day, I want to talk about this topic. So I am not saying that I don't believe or trust the reporting of Nate Taylor. Nate Taylor is a friend of the show. He's a personal friend. I obviously trust and believe Nate Taylor. But I'm not sure if the Chiefs signing Ronnie Stanley really lines up with what they usually do and kind of what their plans usually are. So if you missed it, Nate Taylor is reporting. He was on Fesco and Dusty earlier today, and he said that he believes the Chiefs are going after Ronnie Stanley in free agency. Here's Nate Taylor.
They're going to try to sign Ronnie Stanley. Let's just put it out there.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
This is it.
Yes.
This is it, kids. Cam Robinson, get out my face. This is an all-in move, and that isn't to say that this is going to work necessarily. Ronnie Stanley could obviously go back to Baltimore. Baltimore now knows this.
This is why I find it a little bit hard, because I don't think it aligns with what they usually do. We believe that Kingsley Suamataia is going to start at left guard for the Chiefs, right? He's 22 years old. Creed Humphrey is 25. Trey Smith, who they just franchise tagged, and we believe they are going to sign a long-term extension with, is 25 years old. Jawan Taylor is 27 years old. When they signed him to a contract, he was 24 years old. Usually the Chiefs pay mid-20-somethings. Ronnie Stanley's birthday is in 2 weeks. He'll be 31 years old. The Chiefs have never paid a Ronnie Stanley type that wasn't already a part of their family. Sure, they paid Chris Jones. That was a guy that they've drafted, developed. You own Chris Jones' uniforms. He's helped you win championships. It's a little different scenario. They paid Travis Kelce. Same logic applies to Kelce that applies to Chris Jones. He is higher up the Mount Rushmore, the food chain, than Chris Jones. It makes sense to me why you would go against your usual protocol for two guys that are beloved by your fan base and your organization, and you know everything about them. They've never signed a Ronnie Stanley. Even when their offensive line was in desperate need, they signed Joe Thuney. Joe Thuney was in his 20s when they signed him. They went out and they signed. That's usually not what they do. Now, I understand that Ronnie Stanley is the best left tackle available. And if they go sign Ronnie Stanley, it will be considered by a lot of people to be a home run, and it will be the best possible option that they can have. I don't disagree that for 2025, Ronnie Stanley is the best left tackle that they could potentially sign. That's why I put him in the home run swing category. But it goes against what they usually do. They don't sign 30-somethings. And, I mean, in 2023, he played in 13 games. In 2022, he played in 11 games. In 2021, he made 1 start. In 2020, he made 6 starts. The Chiefs' plan is to go out and extend themselves for a player that is past the age that they usually sign players and a guy who just hasn't really been healthy. He hasn't been healthy. I think Ronnie Stanley is a good left tackle. I would say one of the better left tackles, but he hasn't been healthy, and it's not like he hasn't been the Joe Thuney equivalent, so to speak. He hasn't been the Creed Humphrey equivalent. You guys tell me how easy it is to make the Pro Bowl and how Pro Bowl appearances don't matter, and they hand them out like candy. Well, he's only made it twice. Why is he not one of the players that just every year you pencil in? Why does he not have 5 Pro Bowl appearances? I don't know if Ronnie Stanley is that guy. If they sign Ronnie Stanley, I get it. He's the best left tackle on the board. But I'm not really sure if that's usually in line with what they do. Maybe they just see it as a desperate need. And we are at our wits' end. We have tried to address this issue time and time again. And we don't think that there's a left tackle in this year's draft class. So we are willing to pay the cost, so to speak. And we are willing to go out and spend the money at left tackle. It's just, they've never done this before. At any position, they're now doing it at left tackle for a guy that's going to cost a lot of money, and they're going to do it for a guy that hasn't been healthy for 2 consecutive seasons in the NFL, especially at what the money is. I mean, Ronnie Stanley is coming off a 5-year, $98.75 million deal. And our friend of the show, Joe Corey, thinks that he's about to sign a 4-year, $90 million deal, which I agree with them. If you are the best left tackle available in free agencies, I don't care what your negatives is. Your pros is you're about to get paid. Your pros is Ronnie Stanley is the best left tackle available, whether it is through free agency or the draft this offseason. That guy is going to get paid. The question now is that money coming from the Kansas City Chiefs? Because 4 years, $90 million is a significant commitment to a player for ages 31, 32, and at least age 33. And Rob, again, they usually don't make that kind of commitment.
It would be outside their character to do that. But they also, outside of Orlando Brown, they've never made a commitment at all at left tackle. Or at least Brett Veach hasn't. I know he
hasn't.
He inherited Eric Fisher, which is different. But I think he'd try with Orlando Brown Jr. Outside of that, they have never invested heavy at that position. And the harsh reality is, outside of a super trade, like just a big trade with a big contract on the back end, which Orlando Brown Jr. wanted, or a Ronnie Stanley type move, this is kind of what happens at left tackle. You have to pay the premium. And I think the Chiefs got caught in no man's land. They have a need at a premium position. The options in free agency are good, but not great. And now you have to pay the tax because you didn't get it done with other left tackles along the way. That's just what happens. It's what you see every year in free agency. And it's not just bad franchises do this. It's really all free agency where this ends up happening. And I worry the Chiefs may have missed the boat on good left tackles, and now they're kind of stuck.
Text line 913-586-7965. C-Dot, every good player can go to the Pro Bowl. How many appearances did Orlando Brown have before he came to Kansas City? He had 2 in his first 3 years in the league. He got traded to Kansas City for his 4th year, and then he made 2 more. So Orlando Brown went to the Pro Bowl in 4 of his first 5 years, and you guys had no interest in paying Orlando Brown what the tax was. Ronnie Stanley's been in the league 9 years and made the Pro Bowl 2 times. He's been an All-Pro 1 time in those 9 years. Orlando Brown has had more accolades than Ronnie Stanley has had in their career. And they both started at the exact same organization. I'm not saying that Ronnie Stanley is not a good player. I do think he is a good player. 4 years, $90 million for a guy who has had 1 healthy season since COVID just seems like a massive overpay to me for an organization that usually doesn't really do that a lot, certainly not for guys that are outside the family. We're off a little bit early today because of K-State. We'll be back tomorrow to break this down, working on Danny joining us tomorrow. You know Danny from Chicago, Joe Thuney. Certainly makes a lot of sense to have Danny on the show tomorrow. We'll catch you guys later. Have a great rest of your day. Get home safely. It's The Drive.
The Drive with Carrington Harrison on your new home for Royals baseball. 96.5 The Fan. Brought to you by DM Injury Law. Have you or a loved one been in a car wreck? Contact DM Injury Law today and get the money you deserve.